It is ESPN FC Live. I'm Mark Donaldson, alongside the former Liverpool defender, Stevie Nichols. Stevie, how was Halloween night for you? Did you turn the lights off and pretend you weren't home, or did you have lots of sweets and candy for the local kids?
Well, definitely turned the lights off, and I wasn't at home.
Okay. So it was a trip up your really steep driveway for nothing for any kids that decided to do so. I take.
Well, it always helps when you've got a £160 dog sitting at the top of the drive. It kind of puts people off, you know.
Today, we were looking ahead to some good games in the Premier League at the weekend, including Man United against Chelsea on Sunday. Man United have announced they have a new manager, but he won't be taking over until after the international break. But we're going to start with something we don't normally do at this time of year when the transfer window's closed. But there's a fair bit of speculation about a lot of players and what might happen to them either in January or next summer. And I want to start at your former club, Stevie, Liverpool. Now, there's some big names out of contract in the summer. Mohamed Salah, his deal is up. Trent Alexander-Arnold, his deal is up, as is Virgil van Dijk. So we can kind of group this together. There's been a fair bit of talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold potentially going to Real Madrid. Forget any allegiances. Does that make sense for Real Madrid?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anybody fits the profile of Real Madrid, it's Trent Alexander-Arnold, a fullback that doesn't really defend, although some are praising him this year. I'm not so sure about that. But he absolutely fits the profile of Real Madrid. And to be honest, all the noises that I hear absolutely point towards him going there. I think the fact that Carvajal had such a bad knee injury will only mean that Real Madrid's desire is even stronger than it may have been earlier. So, yeah, I get the feeling in the pit of my stomach that Real Madrid and Alexander-Arnold are going to be getting together in the not too distant future.
Even although Liverpool are one of the biggest clubs in the world, if Real Madrid come calling for any player in the Premier League, maybe with the exception of Manchester City's top stars, are Real Madrid a team you cannot say no to?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question that right now they are arguably the team that everybody wants to go to. Listen, if you look at the top of the Liga, I'm sure Barcelona fans and players would disagree with you, but at the end of the day, I think that the majority of players around the world, if Real Madrid are one of the sides that are looking for them, then they're probably top of your list. So I don't think that's a surprise. And listen, Alexander-Arnold's talking about winning the Ballon d'Or. Again, if you want to win the Ballon d'Or, your chances go up considerably if you're playing for Real Madrid as well, regardless of your position. So again, just another question, another answer that points to the fact that it looks like Trent's gone.
If he does go, they've got a really good replacement in Connor Bradley. Now, we've seen on the other side of the defence, at the left-back area, that Tsimikas is really challenging Andy Robertson right now and might even start ahead of him this weekend. So he's got two really good players for one position on the left. Would he be looking, do you think, to bring in a right-back, or do you think Connor Bradley would deserve his shot at right-back at Liverpool if Trent goes?
Personally, I think you give Connor Bradley a run in the team. It's hard to judge whether Arne Slot likes him or rates him or not. I know, and I'm pretty sure that Klopp did, and that's why previously, when I was talking Trent going, I was talking about, you know what, if you're going to get a lot of money, you got to look after the future of the club, then I think you let Trent go and you play Connor Bradley. So I think under Klopp, I would probably give you a 100% yes. But Klopp's not the manager now, and I don't know where Connor Bradley sits with Arne Slot. But I would certainly give Connor Bradley his jersey and say, right, okay, this is your jersey, it's yours to lose, and then see what happens. But I would be confident enough to do that. I think Connor Bradley absolutely has all the tools, not just defensively, but going forward. Now, clearly, he's not Trent Alexander going forward. I'll tell you what, he ain't bad.
No, Exactly. So I mentioned those three that are out of contract. Two of them defenders. Trent's 26, Virgil is 33, and Mohamed Salah's 32. Liverpool would love to keep all three. What order of priority do you think it's most important to keep which one, and then go down 1, 2, 3? What would your order be?
Well, I think the fact we've just been talking about Conor Bradley being available for Trent, I think that makes Trent at the bottom of the three. The other two are very difficult to separate. You know, the game's about goals, and that's Mo Salah. But the game's also about defending, and that's Virgil van Dijk. And Virgil van Dijk, his overall influence, I think, on the side is bigger than Mo Salah's. And again, I guess it comes down to a preference. You know, do you prefer goals one end against stopping goals the other end? Me personally, I think Van Dijk, as hard as they both would be to replace, I think Van Dijk's influence would be a lot harder to replace. I think you could maybe go and look and find a really good centre-back, a guy who can organise his back line. I'm going to start arguing with myself now, Mark, because I'm thinking, hold on a second, where do you go and get 25 to 30 goals a season as well? It's really difficult to separate them. But I would say that I think Virgil van Dijk's overall influence on the team is bigger than Mohamed Salah. But again, the game's about goals, so how do you replace the goals? I can't separate them, I guess, in my answer.
So that seamlessly moves on to another player that Liverpool might be interested in, who might score 25 goals in a season, Victor Gyökeres, who was at Coventry. He's now at Sporting Lisbon. He's absolutely flying. Now, no doubt the new Man United boss, Ruben Amorim, will be interested if Gyökeres becomes available. But Chelsea have been credited with an interest, as have Liverpool. So what do you do if you're Gyökeres? Say let's play hypothetics, right? Let's play fairy.
If you're Gyökeres and any one of those teams you mentioned comes in for you, you go.
Yeah, to where though? To where?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not, you know, for him, if one of those sides pays the more money to Sporting Lisbon or offers him more money, whatever it is, go. It doesn't matter. I don't think he's going to be sitting there trying to plot out which one is better. Right now, Gyökeres seems as though he wants it at Sporting, particularly because Amorim, or supposedly, definitely because Amorim had told him, allegedly, that, oh, don't stay, don't go anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. So I think if I'm in Gyökeres' head right now, I'm like, I need to get out of here. And so that's why I'm saying, if it's Man United or Chelsea or Liverpool or any of those teams that I'm talking about, elite tier teams, it doesn't really matter for Gyökeres. Because regardless of where he goes, he's going to have the same problem. I am not convinced that he is a top-class Premier League centre-forward. I'm not.
Yeah, that's up to him to prove. Okay, let's turn this around. Which of these three teams need him more? Liverpool, Manchester United, or Chelsea?
I mean, Manchester United, it would seem to me. Chelsea, even though I'm not a huge fan of Nicholas Jackson, he's actually scoring some goals. You know, Liverpool have got 5 forwards right now. Okay, Jota's injured. And Man United, other than playing against Leicester City reserves, can't score a goal to save their life. So, from that deduction, you'd probably say Manchester United. But again, do you go to a team that are struggling big time? But then again, do you go to a team that has the manager who you know likes you, so you know you're going to play and you know you're going to get an opportunity? So I would suggest Man United would be the right team for him for all of those reasons.
When you argue with yourself, who normally wins?
Well, fortunately, I win either way, regardless of whether I change my mind or not.
The other player in our transfer rumours section, I'm trying to tie this all together, is Anthony. Now, if Man United say to Sporting, we'll give you Anthony and we'll give you money, can we have Gyökeres, please? What's the next move for him? Because in all seriousness, it's not his fault that Man United are paying him what they're paying him. So no one else is probably going to pay him that. So his agent's like, hey, if they can't give you money to leave, just stay here. But what does that do to a player's future? So what's next for Anthony?
I think you just painted a very bleak picture, because I'm going to guess that Anthony's not going to take a 50% cut in wages or anything like that.
Neither he should.
I'm not so sure other teams, considering the amount of money that he's on, are going to be wanting a guy who hasn't shown it and figure that one out and find out where the manager wants this. And then you've got to figure...
New boss, new opportunity. Or as the problem is, he just isn't as good as his transfer fee.
Have a guess. I mean, Anthony, I would guess Anthony probably is about at the lowest point in his career that he's ever been. I mean, because up until moving to Manchester United, everyone was going on an upward spiral. I mean, it was go to the top, and he almost reached the top when he landed at Man United. Unfortunately, he's gone back down the other way, and he's going to have to start again. And that's not easy. You need to have the right attitude, the right fire in the belly. You need to accept certain things. I just don't believe that guy, that he is in a mental place where he can just do that and start again. I just don't see it right now.
Meanwhile, of course, the title race very much open. Manchester City sitting at the top of the table, one clear of Liverpool. For Arsenal, of course, we've seen that draw and defeat in their last two games means that there's a little bit of gap between them and Manchester City now at the top of the table. What has clearly hampered Arsenal somewhat, not only the fact they keep getting people sent off, but there are injuries, key injuries as well. Calafori will be out, Tierney, Tomiyasu and Martin Odegaard seems to be a major miss. Obviously, Saka back, as he was last weekend. Gabriel and Ben White, both doubtful going into this clash. Newcastle, a Newcastle team, let's not forget, have very much underwhelmed so far this season, Stevie. Yeah. You look at this game and it's quite difficult to predict, isn't it?
It is, particularly with all the injuries Arsenal have got. But I think Arsenal have a level of playing that will be too much for Newcastle. You know, I don't think we're going to see the Arsenal of a way up there that we've seen over the last couple of years. They're consistent.
Right.
And regardless of who's in the back line, they will defend well. Newcastle, you just don't know what you're going to get. And the fact that Shard and Burns are still playing centre-back, because the two of them are not a good partnership. And Dan Burns, listen, gives you everything, but when the ball's behind him, he's done. He's over. So I'm going to go with Arsenal, but as you said, it's going to be tricky. But I just don't really trust Newcastle. That's the biggest thing I have in my head.
And they're 5 points off the lead at the moment.
I was going to say, obvious statement, but they need a win, don't they, here? No.
Yeah, they need... It's not that they've been terrible, and they certainly were not terrible against Liverpool. They controlled certainly long periods of the first half. But as I was saying the other day, the tide turned in that game when Liverpool had to make the triple substitution, and then, because they were going for it and chasing it, and then obviously Gabriel goes off and it's a complete reshuffle. Timber's knackered. So you look at these games, the loss at Bournemouth was huge and slightly controversial. The draw at Liverpool wasn't the worst, although against Liverpool, and they were in the lead. But Newcastle and Chelsea coming up. City with a 5 point lead. That pushes out to 8 point if they somehow lose to Newcastle at the weekend. I mean, against these teams, that's a lot. You're talking about City slipping up 3 or 4 times and you having to be
already. We're not even at Christmas.
And you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
So they've got to put these injuries apart, which I think they've done in a decent way, to be quite honest with you. And there is some talk that Gabriel might be back. He did some training. They need to start putting a run of results here together just to keep the top two honest. It is a tough game, but I'm with Stevie. I can just see Arsenal having enough. I think they're clearly a better side, clearly a better squad. And Eddie Howe's also a manager who's got a fair amount of pressure on him. Yeah. So I think Arsenal just nick this one by the odd goal.
Frank, your thoughts?
Yeah, I hesitated between a draw and the win from Arsenal, but they have to win. I mean, they have a big pressure, and they have to win, and they have to stop, trying to find excuses on injuries. I mean, Manchester City, they're first in the league without Rodri and De Bruyne, and last year they had injuries as well, and they finished first. So if you are ready to compete and you think that you are one of the 3 best teams in the Premier League, you have to stop complaining about injuries. It happens to every club. You have to deal with that. Normally you have a second team inside the squad, so you have to go for it, and you shouldn't complain too much. It's a game they have to win against Newcastle, and I think it's a must not lose game, that's for sure. But after they will have Chelsea as well, so it's going to be tricky for the next 2 games for us.
God forbid there's no controversial
Craig.
thing that
Everyone's
happens
against
Arsenal.
Everyone is against them. Meanwhile, we're for them. Actually, everyone is going for an Arsenal win. Going up to St James's, taking 3 points ahead of that big game against Chelsea next weekend. Meanwhile, you take a look at the Premier League standings, looking at some other games that catch the eye. Certainly 2nd versus 6th, isn't it? Liverpool taking on Brighton. This is a repeat of the Carabao Cup game we saw midweek. Steve, you've spoken about this before, that it's really weird when you play teams back to back. Obviously, it'd be slightly different lineups, given it's Carabao Cup and Premier League. What is it about it that makes it so different?
There just always seems to be a cancellation factor. Just because generally you've played against them, it's almost like you've turned up the next day and you're at it again.
Right.
Yeah, it's difficult, but normally if you're a big team, you are in a rotation system. So sometimes you rest. But if you have to play the 2 teams, and especially if you play one time away from home and after you play at home, it's a different game. But you see the player that you just saw and that you have to mark again. It's like he knows you. It's like shooting a penalty and having to shoot another one straight after, and you start calculating. Okay, so he does that, but will he do that? Which in fact is wrong, because it's a complete different game, because it's a complete different atmosphere. Sometimes it's not even the same pitch. Sometimes it's not even the same players plays against you. So yeah, it's kind of boring to play twice in the same week against the same team. But it is what it is. We saw Newcastle and Chelsea last week. Chelsea winning at home and losing away from home, but with a B team, I guess. So yeah, it's not entertaining. I'm always curious to see the reaction of a team when he lost against the other team in the first game.
Last year it was Crystal Palace, if memory serves me right, at Man United. Do you remember? I think Palace beat them in the memory like an elephant again. See, Palace beat them in the League Cup, and then
What was I doing yesterday?
And then the weekend. You don't remember that?
He doesn't know
I
what
don't
he's doing
remember yesterday.
Because you said, I can't remember what you said. But I tell you what, with the Brighton, when they did play back to back, I tell you the Brighton thing with Liverpool is, I think Brighton more than any side in the Premier League, more than Liverpool, more than City, more than Arsenal, take chances playing the ball out from the back.
Yeah, we saw that obviously against Chelsea. That kind of epitomised it all, didn't it?
I mean, crazy.
Yeah.
And Liverpool, if they're smart and don't want to expend too much energy, just wait and pounce on that, because they'll pass it around the 6-yard box and back to the goalie, and it's when it works, it can get them out and on the counter. But when it goes badly, I mean, you can imagine the goalie and some of those defenders sleeping the night before thinking, my God, this guy. But that's what they do. And when they get caught out and when it goes badly wrong, it goes badly wrong.
We got some predictions. I imagine everyone's gone for Liverpool and lots of goals. Let's take a look. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Oh, Frank's gone convincing. Liverpool win 3-0. Meanwhile, Manchester City against Bournemouth. In theory, of course, over the year, I assume City have won this game. But Oscar Bob is out, De Bruyne is out, Doku's out, Grealish is out, Rodri's out, Walker's out, Akanji's out, and Savinho is out. They won't be able to fill the bench once again.
Hold on.
It's not a bad team, that.
And as we look over at the screen,
Yes.
Going,
Yes.
you know, and Haaland didn't play at Tottenham.
Nope.
Even when they were losing at the end, he kept him fresh. He gave him a rest, so he's
can you spot a problem?
jumping at the bit.
Can he?
I can't spot, but you're right. He's not going to fill his bench. There's not going to be a lot of sympathy for their manager or this football club with the success they've had. Again, Areola's done a really, really good job over the past 15 months at Bournemouth. They're a tidy little side, but even with those injuries,
Yeah,
there's just too much.
It's still pretty strong in it. Meanwhile, a game which I think is fair to say is the hardest to predict this weekend sees Tottenham take on Aston Villa. Like, what sort of Tottenham is going to turn up? How are Aston Villa going to be? And that kind of is shown. Everyone's going for a draw. Well, not everyone. Steve's gone for an Aston Villa win. No one has gone for a Spurs victory. Why are you thinking draw, Frank?
Because it's hard to believe that Tottenham can be consistent 90 minutes and that's it. And they're going through so many issues and I would say, how do you say that? Yeah, a sloppiness. Yeah, sloppiness that it's impossible to predict a win against Aston Villa. I mean, we're talking about Aston Villa. Aston Villa is fighting with Chelsea and maybe Brighton for the 4th seat, and Tottenham is so far away. So I want to believe that Aston Villa is going to be spot on. They're going to work hard. They're not going to let go and easily Spurs forward. So I don't see why Tottenham will win that game. There is no possibility for me.
You just know Unai Emery with the standard of his coaching, not just at Villa but over the piece. He's been watching this Tottenham side, particularly at home, thinking, and the video analysis will be about the gaps that they're going to leave. And there's no Van de Ven. It's Dragusin and Romero. Good players, but just don't have that searing.
Oh, Brian, do you know my producer shouting in my ear, who's a Spurs fan? We just beat Man City.
Oh, could give us a break. Man City were laughing.
So what you got to understand
Man City were laughing at the end of the game because they got beat.
What you got to understand is the producer is put a capital P on it. He's a punter. He's a gigantic punter, right? He's one of them that sits in the crowd shouting that kind of nonsense, even when they're losing 3-0 to Villa.
Yep.
We won last week against Man City. Look, consistency for Tottenham, great football, entertaining to watch. Have to get Solanke going. Certainly haven't got Maddison going this year. Kulusevski's filled that void fantastically well. But there is no doubt with Van de Ven out against a very, very shrewd Villa side who have got quick players on the counter, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah. He's crying now. He's crying.
I like to make them cry. He's not the first producer. I'm going to cry. But you're right though when you come out. It is a hard game to predict.
Yeah, but it's a good one to watch again from the Newcastle.
No, I think so. Yeah.
Aren't there overall? Actually, very entertaining. And of course, we'll be keeping you informed about all of them over the next couple of days on ESPN FC. Be sure to join us. Of course, not just reflecting what's going on in the Premier League, but the other big leagues across Europe.
Amorim doesn't take over till after the November international break, so it's going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy again. Not sure if you saw any of the midweek victory over Leicester City.
Unfortunately, I did. Yes, I saw it all.
Look, I know it's against Leicester at home, but they play with a little bit of freedom. Can they take that into Sunday's game under Ruud van Nistelrooy, knowing that there's someone watching from Portugal that will be coming in a couple of weeks?
Well, Van Nistelrooy's got something to work out, and and it depends how he goes about this. If he wants to go about it the way he did against Leicester, then we could be looking at 6-4, 5-3, something like that. Because Chelsea on the counter are dynamite, and Man United at times against Leicester City couldn't cope with them, and that wasn't even Leicester City's first team. So it's going to be. It's going to be how Van Nistelrooy decides to go about this. Is he going to be cautious? Is he going to draw a line in the sand? Or is he going to go, right, hey, let's go and play? Because he'll be going anyway. So I'm hoping he says, let's go and play. Because if he does, I think there'll be goals galore in this game.
If you were a player, who would you rather play for right now, Manchester United or Chelsea?
Chelsea.
Because?
They're going one way right now. And that's up. Manchester United, if they're lucky, are stagnating. Some would probably say they're going down. They finished 8th last year. They're now sitting in 14th. So they're going the wrong way. And Chelsea's going the right way. People are talking... Before the ball was kicked, we were talking about Chelsea not getting anywhere close to any sort of European football. Just try and get on a level pegging somewhat, calm down, settle down. But they've... Certainly Maresca, who has to be given a huge amount of credit, has got them in a position where they're not just calm, they're not just settled, they're actually going in the right direction. So I think that's an easy choice. It has to be Chelsea.
Given what you've just said about what we were talking about, you can go back just 3 months and Chelsea, how many players have they signed? What's it going to do with all these players? They're a mess. What are they going to do this season? It's just a case of another team. That was 3 months ago. What's to say that a good coach like Ruben Amorim can't come into Manchester United and have a similar effect and have a similar turnaround over the next 3-4 months?
Well, the argument would be that the actual players that United have aren't good enough. That's the argument. Because, Maresca's come in and I think as much as anything else, he's got a lot of young players. And when you have a lot of young players, yes, you have problems with consistency, but what you do is if you have the right way with them and you handle them personally in a correct manner, you've got them. They'll do anything for you. Man United are a mishmash of players that have passed the best, players that might have a little bit bigger ego that they're not going to be told when, where, why and what. They've got some young guys, that might help them. And then they've got some players that just aren't good enough, and that's just the truth. So, yeah, if you look at both squads, there's a completely different. There's a thing running through the spine of Chelsea that looks solid and looks as though it's working and it's going in the right direction. And you look at the spine of Manchester United and you're not sure what's happening, you're not sure where it's going, and you certainly know it's not working. I mean, two fundamentally different situations for two different teams. So, yeah, Maresca's done a fantastic job at Chelsea so far. You've got to say that.
Oh, without a doubt. When it comes to signing players in January, and players find out that Manchester United are interested, is it all about, it's Manchester United in for me? Or is it some of it about Amorim wants me? How much of a kind of say, or how much of an influence is the manager, in this case Amorim, and is he a big enough name to attract certain players? Or is it far more about, hey, Manchester United want me? Because at the top of the show we were talking about, if Real Madrid come in for you, then you're going to listen. Is that the same now for Manchester United? Do they still have that kind of wow factor? Their name, forget the way that the club is run, that if they come and Amorim wants to, that the likelihood is you're going to listen?
Absolutely not. No, I don't think any of the top players right now would be interested in going to Manchester United unless it was the last deal. And Casemiro's probably the best example of that. Casemiro 7-8 years previous to when he went to Manchester United wouldn't have dreamed of going there. So no, the top players are not going to Manchester United. The players that are on their way up might still understand what Manchester United was about, might still realise that, yes, of course, it's a huge club, but yeah, right now Manchester United's about finding young players who still think of Man United as this starry destination, or it's older players who are either trying to resurrect a career or looking for a payday. That's kind of what Manchester United have been getting recently. Certainly that's what they've been signing.
What about Sunday? I deliberately haven't checked what the odds maker says. I don't want to be influenced by that. If you were pricing this game up, or if you were putting your last dollar on it, would you be thinking more towards Chelsea, or is it the whole new manager bounce could give United something? What do you reckon?
No, I'd definitely go towards Chelsea. Yeah, I wouldn't get too carried away with beating Leicester City reserves 5-2 at home, scoring 5 goals, and everybody goes home happy. It's a lovely tonic. It's a great tonic for Man United fans to go to Old Trafford and leave with 5 goals in the goals for account. I mean, that's just not something they've been used to for a long time. But if Chelsea are anywhere close to what they've been doing this season, particularly in the counter-attack, then I think I would go, because it's at Old Trafford, Probably Chelsea would be slight favourites for me. But yeah, if it's my last dollar, I'm putting it on Chelsea.
Final question before we move on to a more general Premier League chat. This is the first chance that any of us at ESPN FC have had a chance to react to Manchester United's confirmation that Ruben Amorim is joining the football club from Sporting Lisbon. Could he be up there with a Sir Alex and a Mourinho as far as influence? Hold on. Let's not get carried away. When it comes to, he walks into...
Let's not get carried away. Could it be Ferguson?
No, let me
Couldn't get any more carried away if you tried.
Let me finish the sentence. Does he have a presence when he walks into that dressing room like some of the ones in the past?
I couldn't answer that. I've never met the guy. But I would say that any manager who walks in a dressing room for the first time gets the opportunity to make a difference. You know, but very, very few managers walk in a dressing room and straight away everybody goes, oh, what's this guy doing here? Unless he's got one of the worst reputations in the history of football. But a guy like Amorim walking into the dressing room for the first time, meeting the players for the first time, straight away gets a certain amount of respect. After that, it's up to Amorim to keep that respect and build on it the way that the Fergusons and the Klopps and all these other guys that have become so successful do. So it's really up to Amorim to make sure that he puts his stamp every time, particularly the first time, but every time he walks in that dressing room or every time he has something to say, he has to make sure that the players are listening.
We've just moved into November now, so we'll end today's ESPN FC Live by talking about the Premier League with Stevie Nicol, and there's a decent enough sample size so far from what we've seen with the games. Would it be fair to say there hasn't been a standout team so far in the Premier League, Stevie?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, we all kind of look at the City, Arsenal and Liverpool as being the title contenders. But I think we also see that they all have flaws. And I think we've probably concentrated on those flaws probably a little bit more than we have what they're actually really good at. So yeah, I would say it's tough to turn around and be really impressed with anybody. I think the most impressive thing I would say would be Maresca at Chelsea. You know, we've just spoken about Chelsea, and you mentioned it 3 months ago before a ball was kicked. We were still in the realms of, wow, how is this thing going to change? When is it going to turn around? How is a guy who's had one season in the Championship and never managed in the Premier League going to turn around a club this size with the amount of problems that they've had, with the amount of players they've had? I mean, there was just so many questions and absolutely no answers. And 3 months later, we're looking at a Chelsea side that are building and getting better and getting better. And now we're starting to talk about them in terms of European football and in terms of can they get close to the top four? I mean, this is so opposite of all the things we were saying before the ball was kicked. So I guess if I was to say I've been impressed with anything in the Premier League this year, it has to be Chelsea and Maresca and the job that he's doing there.
What about the shoe on the other foot? We do try and accentuate the positive where possible, but there's been some horrible teams and horrible performances so far.
This is easy.
It's got to be Man United, right?
Well, actually, I forgot about Man United. For that there. I was actually going to say West Ham. I don't. Yeah.
So teams.
I'll tell you what. I think you're right. I think probably.
Based on expectations.
No. Actually, no. You know what? Actually, no. Now that I think about it, no, because every single one of us said at the end of the season when they kept Ten Hag on that this was a disaster. What a bad move, and how could it get any better? And so in a lot of ways, even though it's got worse, it's not that big a surprise, because we knew that they were in trouble. We knew that the guy in charge in Ten Hag wasn't capable of getting them out of trouble. So at the end of the day, I think West Ham is the correct answer. I mean, it's kind of just be careful what you wish for. You know, under David Moyes, you knew exactly what you're going to get. The hierarchy there decided no, they wanted more expansive football, more excitement, all the fancy things, and they go and bring in Lopetegui, and they bring in players, you know, Kelman, Fulkrug, Somerville from Leeds, Sola from PSG. You know, they go and spend a lot of money, and then they produce, particularly at home, the biggest lot of dross you've ever seen. I mean, you talk about uninspiring. That's what West Ham are, particularly at home, because at least away from home they get a chance to counter-attack. I mean, at home they've been absolutely useless, and so I think the answer is absolutely West Ham. And how they managed to beat Manchester United last weekend. I mean, Manchester United should have been 3 up at half-time, so that kind of ties in nicely with the Man United West Ham argument. So if Manchester United are completely outplaying West Ham, I think that gives us the right conclusion that West Ham absolutely have to be the most unimpressive team so far in the Premier League, considering what they spent and changing the manager and the whole so-called philosophy.
Yeah, like it's totally subjective, but they've scored 4 more goals than Newcastle. No one's really talking about Newcastle as a team that's underachieved so far, based on expectation of where we thought they might be. Just 9 goals in 9 games for Newcastle. That's not great.
No, but, you know, they weren't good last year. They struggled last year. You could argue that they're certainly not any worse than they were last year. So in terms of unimpressive, yeah, I think definitely we stick with West Ham, and there's no question Man United are in there. But yeah, I don't think Newcastle are in that league yet.
What about a player of the season so far? Because Erling Haaland's kind of gone off the boil of late, but he's still got 11 goals. He's still 3 clear of Brian Mbeumo, who's really stepped up since Ivan Toney left for the Middle East. Any of those two maybe in contention for your player of the year so far, or have you got any others?
Well, I think the biggest surprise of the season so far, I mean, you could say Mbeumo's a bit of that, but I mean, he scored 3 goals in the first minute of 3 different games in a trot. I think the biggest surprise for me this season has been a Liverpool player, no question, and that's Ryan Gravenberch. I mean, I honestly thought in the off-season, I thought, where's this guy going? Because they need to get rid of him. Because in my opinion, since he came under Klopp, he has done absolutely nothing. I don't remember anything he did in any games he played in under Klopp at all. And to me, he looked a complete bust. And then Arne Slot comes in, and then he slots in, Gravenberch that is, to that defensive midfield position, and he has been absolutely outstanding, no question. I mean, and as I said, it's such a huge shock. I saw the team sheet against Ipswich, first game of the season, and I saw Gravenberch in it, and I'm thinking, oh, why is Gravenberch playing? I wasn't saying that by the end of the game, and I'm certainly not saying that now. He has absolutely been the find of the season, and what he's doing, if he continues to do it, he's going to cement himself for a long time in this Liverpool midfield, because he has been outstanding.
I know this next topic wasn't on our list, but I kind of want to introduce it right now as an unsung hero, because there's a couple that I think they deserve a fair bit of praise, and maybe they haven't been getting that because they've been flying under the radar. Danny Welbeck at Brighton with 6 goals is flying right now. They've got up on this weekend. But Chris Wood at Nottingham Forest, I mean, they're 7th in the table. He's got 7 goals, and sometimes you just find a club, don't you? Because he's been a bit of a journeyman, but he works. He suits that Forest style, and Nuno's got him absolutely flying right now.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on both of them. You know, Wood, as you said, has been around because his skill set is just specific. You know, he is an out ball. He's a guy that will hold it up. But what he's doing this year is his finishing has been tremendous. And he's in the right team to do it. You know, Forest are not a team that are all about attacking football. They are organised and they have a plan. They draw a line in the sand and then they try and counter-attack. And he's the payoff for him is big time this season, as you said, with 7 goals. And I think Danny Welbeck, your other shout, is a great one as well. You know, Danny Welbeck, I think his biggest problems, even at Manchester United, was he couldn't stay fit long enough to get a really good run of games. And I think what you're seeing now is an experienced guy using all that guile, all that knowledge, and he's staying fit and healthy. And the way Brighton play, it's all about going forward at pace. And again, a bit like Wood, he absolutely is reaping the benefits of the way his team play. But at the end of the day, he's the one that's making the finishes. He's the one that's putting the ball in the back of the net, and his finishing has been impeccable. Not just on the ground, but in the air as well.
Okay, let's wrap this up. I know it's the 1st of November, I know it's early, but when we look back at the end of the season and see Stevie Nicholls' top 4 predictions from ESPN FC Live on the 1st of November, and we go, wow, he got it spot on. So what's your top 4 right now?
City. Liverpool, Arsenal. And I'm going Villa 4th.
Okay. We will ask you again as the season goes on.
Let's get straight into it. Huge news this week that Ruben Amorim will take over as the Manchester United head coach. Importantly, after the club sacked Erik ten Hag. Spencer, you are a neutral in this. What are your thoughts on A, Ten Hag going, and B, Amorim arriving?
First of all, Joe, you're welcome. West Ham finished them off. No, we did the job. I think that was a bit of a sack race game there.
It was, Sakiko.
I don't know. I don't want to bring it up so early, chaps. But basically, what was it, a couple of months ago I was on the show. I think I was asked to rank Man United managers.
Were?
And I think I put Ten Hag fairly high. And I said, as a caveat, I don't like him. I don't think he should be manager. Don't rate him. And I got a little bit of resistance at the time, I think. Well,
pat on the back.
listen, I don't want to take the mick because the manager, someone's lost their job at the end of the day, right? And football's football. There's opinions, whether it's right or wrong. I think he had a tough stint. He had to deal with a lot of stuff, but maybe some of the transfers hurt him a little bit as well. But I do think it's the right decision. From a club perspective, I think it had to be done. You've got to remember, you've got new owners now. They've now got the chance to put their own print on it, haven't they?
I thought he'd mentioned the last time he was on the show. Mina, a Man United fan, so from a fan's perspective, what do you make of the news?
I'm sure a lot of people feel it's unfortunate, like Spencer said. You don't want to see someone lose their job, but the last 15 months for Manchester United, it's not been an easy one. I think last season, the Champions League run, it was humiliation in the Champions League. Erik ten Hag finished 8th place with Manchester United last season. He actually was on path potentially this year to maybe outdo himself and beat his own record from last season. And obviously this year has been difficult because Erik ten Hag spent 616 million, and you look at the squad and think, where is that money gone? Where is that quality and the money that has been spent? So yeah, it's unfortunate, but the Amorim era is about to start, and I'm really optimistic for it.
Yeah, and it gave us a good idea, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Item.
Yeah, you mentioned the squad there and Ruben Amorim. So today we're going to have a look at that squad and who you think is going to work under Ruben Amorim. So we've got a tick, we've got a cross. We're going to go through player by player. Spencer, you're going to weigh in whether you agree or you disagree. Should we start with the goalkeepers?
Yeah, go on. Let's get it cracking. Start with the goalkeepers.
Okay.
And this is up to you. So what you think, stay or go, what you think should happen to all the players.
2 goalkeepers, Altay Binder, Andre Onana.
Yep.
Not the biggest problem that Manchester United have to solve right now in the club. I think Andre Onana in particular, last season he started off quite difficult. You know, I mentioned the Champions League run, but, you know, it was a bit unfortunate. It's his freshman year, if you want to call it that. This year, he's actually saved Manchester United quite a few points. 4 clean sheets in the Premier League so far. I think that's actually top in 9 games so far.
He is most of any Premier League goalkeeper, you're right. Yeah.
And also, thinking about Crystal Palace game, think about the Fenerbahce game in the Europa League. He made some massive saves that actually saved United a point. So both of them, I'm going to say stay because Manchester United got a lot of bigger problems.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, isn't it, how Andre Onana works under Ruben Amorim, really, because obviously he's a very progressive goalkeeper, isn't he? And we know how Ruben Amorim wants to play with that 3 at the back. Sometimes his goalkeeper steps up into that high line. So when we come on to the defenders, I think this is where it's probably the most interesting chat. Because we're shifting an entire shape here from a back 3 to a back 3.
I think that's a really good point. We should talk about that. Do you expect United to change formation given how Amorim plays? A very different style to Eric Ten Hag. Do you expect them to play a different formation?
Well, obviously, he's played a certain way at Sporting. They've brought him in for those reasons, I presume. It's up to the management, and it doesn't just mean him, obviously, because the way these clubs work now it can be different. But there would have been a discussion in the interview process. How do you want to play, and how do you expect me to play? Yeah. So everyone seems to suggest it's going to be the same way that he played at Sporting, which is going to be a bit of a change. But we're seeing a lot of teams move to this sort of 3 at the back system now and still play progressively. I think back in the day it was looked at sometimes as a 5 and a bit defensive. Think about the Chelsea teams that did well in that formation. But you look at what Xabi Alonso's doing at Leverkusen, it can be used really attackingly, and I think that's what we're going to see.
OK, interesting point. We'll go on. Let's do centre-backs first then, shall we?
We'll go with the centre-backs.
So who's the first magnet you've got?
And you guys mentioned this because I do think in the summer transfer window, Man United were preparing for the arrival of a manager maybe in the future like Ruben Amorim, because they brought in a young talent called Lenny Yoro that we haven't seen play a competitive game for Manchester United. Unfortunately got injured in pre-season, but, one of the most sought-after young players this summer, and Manchester United managed to land him. Lisandro Martinez is another player that I'm quite fond of. He's really good on the ball. Had unfortunate issues with his injuries last season, but this year he's really starting to take shape, and I think he's a player, like you lot mentioned, if Amorim is going to come and play a back 3, he's going to be a player that is really utilised because of the fact that he's so good on the ball. He's so, he's able to drive the ball forward if necessary. And
do you think those two, just to touch on Lenny Yoro, obviously he arrived big money, didn't he? Over £50 million, I think. For his age, it's one of the biggest transfer fees.
You know what? He's actually the most expensive player in history, aged 18 or younger, because Mbappe technically, when he signed, was 19, although there was the loan thing, so a technicality. But it's huge money for a player of his age. It's a shame he's out for 3 months.
Do you think he starts then in Man United's first 11 under Amorim?
Under Amorim, I think he will start, but also in a 3. But equally, with saying that, I do anticipate United going out and buying a centre-back next summer that could be on the horizon. If you remember this summer, Man United were linked to potentially buying 3 centre-backs. Jared Brantford was a player that they were really after. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they go back in the market for him, or they go back for another centre-back that they were linked to. I remember they wanted Todibo, but they couldn't get him because of the UEFA regulation.
Go on, Spencer. We got that on the show.
Just saying we got him. West Ham got him at the end of the day, Todibo, and he's been pretty poor before so far. So I think you might dodge a bullet there. But no, he'll come good, I'm sure.
So let's go through one by one. So let's stick Lenny Yoro in definitely in the stay. Let's talk a little bit about Lisandro Martinez. Does the back 3 suit him more?
I think it does suit him very well. I think, he's quite fluid. He can play left-sided in a back 3. He can play left-back, which he's been playing under Eric Ten Hag. It'll be very interesting to see in terms of how he kind of shifts in that back 3. Will he kind of progress into midfield? Will he drift out wide to kind of support the full-back under Amorim? Obviously, this is just speculation because we don't know what Amorim's going to do until he comes in.
All right, let's get Lisandro up and we'll talk about the next one. Might have to get Spencer's help pretty soon on the other side.
I'll definitely need his help for the next one. And last but not least, Matthias de Ligt. We brought him in the summer, and it's been an interesting one with him because, of course, Man United have conceded 3 to Spurs, conceded 3 to Liverpool, all of which he was part of. But I don't think that really captures the value and the experience that he actually can provide for Manchester United. An Eric Ten Hag signing, but I think he's going to come good. I think he's very good on the ball. He's quite strong. He's quite physical. His recovery pace is quite deceptive sometimes. He looks slow, but when he's recovering pace, he's actually quite quick. So I think as time goes on and he really kind of gets into the essence of playing at Manchester United, I think he's going to be a very important player, and I think he could be captain material.
Okay,
captain material. Talking of captain material, Harry Maguire is up next, isn't he?
He is.
Former captain of the club, a player that was linked with your side.
How many players bounce back from that, really? And the captaincy being taken away from them. It's quite rare that they stay at the club a long time after that. But he's done it so far.
What would you do with Maguire?
What would I do with him? I like Harry Maguire. I've always loved Harry Maguire.
I'm excited about the prospect of him joining West Ham at the time.
Yeah, and I'm a big England fan, and I've obviously got great memories of what he's done for us there. I think he's a player that needs to be played in a certain system.
A back 3?
Yeah. Well, back 3 for England was his best football by far. But is that an Amorim back 3? I don't know. Southgate's back 3. I'm not sure. I would always have him, but I'm not necessarily building a Man United squad. If I was at West Ham, for example, when we tried to sign him, I thought it'd been perfect for us, whether it's back 3 or back 4. It's all about how much you want on the ball, how much do you need in recovery, how much you expect to be controlling games, And maybe with the way that some of the more progressive teams want to play, he might not be the perfect fit. And you've got a lot of depth now in that centre-back area.
As a United fan, where do you put him?
Spencer mentioned something interesting, which is the way that Amorim plays. In Europe this year, Amorim's Sporting was, I think, the 4th highest in terms of where their backline starts. It was only Porto, Benfica, and Manchester City. Sorry, I wish Man United. Manchester City that had a higher starting point. So a player like Harry Maguire, I don't think in Amorim's system, in Southgate's one he might work, but in Amorim's system, not necessarily. Now, one thing I like about Harry Maguire and a lot of respect for him is because of the way that he's handled his situation at Manchester United the last 2.5 seasons. Eric Ten Hag came in, dropped him immediately. Didn't strip the captaincy, but dropped him immediately. The next season, stripped him of his captaincy. And that season, what happened? Man United had to rely on him because a lot of centre-backs were getting injured. And he came in, he had some good performances alongside Johnny Evans. We haven't seen him 15 months. We haven't seen him since his first season. Luke Shaw's a really interesting one because he's been at the club for nearly 10 years now. He's got 28 assists in about 275 appearances, which means he's averaging about 3 assists per season at his time at Manchester United. You look at the injury record, he's missed 30+ games in about 5 seasons at Manchester United. Last season, he missed 38 games. This season, we're in November, and he's already missed 50% of that. If he carries on at that metric, how many games is he actually going to play for Manchester United? But then you look at, if Man United do get rid of 3 centre-backs, we've seen him play left-sided centre-back in a back 2 under Eric Ten Hag. I remember Man City, Old Trafford, Eric Ten Hag's first season. So that could be an option. So for me, Tyrell Malacia, I'm going to say stay, just for depth. And Luke Shaw is probably the only one I'm going to put in 50-50.
Oh, you can't. We have a 50.
You're going to make me an offer.
Because I can see both sides of the argument. I can see the argument of keeping him, and I can see...
But what would you do?
What would I do? I would let him go.
What's he got left on his contract?
2027 is contract.
Right, let's move on to midfielders then.
Staying, yeah?
Let's look at some of the... who have you got first for midfielders? I mean, Kobbie Mainoo's a tapping,
that's probably the easiest one. Build the whole team. Give him a 10-year contract. Keep him at Manchester United. So that's quick.
Nailed on.
Nice and
that's probably your side, I think, to be fair. We're going, look at this build. What's going on with this build?
We'll go backwards. We'll go back.
Depends.
The 2 positions of the central
big talking points.
Yeah, this is a big talking point with Ugarte, isn't it? You feel like this could be a good appointment for Ugarte?
That's why I said, I feel like Man United were preparing for Amorim to arrive, getting a player of Ugarte's quality. Eric Ten Hag was quite reluctant to play him, but he's also been inconsistently in the lineup. He had a good Europa League performance against, I think it was FC 20, then he was dropped on the weekend, then again midweek, good performance, dropped in the Premier League. So he just needs a run of game time. And funnily enough, this week against Leicester, albeit it's a rotated Leicester team, Casemiro looked at his best with a BM next to him. So maybe this could be an option that Manchester United explore. Manuel Ugarte, for me, is going to be an absolute stay.
He's the biggest winner of the whole deal, isn't he, Spence? Having his former manager, of course, in Ruben Amorim, come into the side, who knows the system, he's probably going to be the go-to guy.
It doesn't hurt at all. And I actually thought the exact same thing when I looked at the lineup against Leicester, and I saw this balance in midfield that I hadn't really seen in a long time, defensively at least, under Ten Hag. And I just thought, it's not that hard, is it? This is why you get this new manager bounces. I know it's only an interim with Ruud, but he comes in and he goes, right, let's just change things up a little bit. Why can't some managers do this themselves a little bit more before they get under the pressure like Ten Hag did? Just go, right, I'm going to try these different combinations and see what happens, because it seems like it was staring him in the face at times. But yeah, especially with a progressive back 3, you want that hard tackling sort of CDM in there, and I think that he could be a mainstay.
And I have to say, Casemiro, some of his best work at United has actually been done not in the defensive but in the attacking third. The goal he scored against Leicester midweek. Ridiculous. So let's get him presumably in stay or
no, I was going to say go, because I didn't get to my point, because Manchester United, from a PSR perspective, they need to make some cost cutting. We've seen them do it in the summer with their transfer window, and he's one of the higher earners in the team. So I can anticipate that Manchester United, if they're able to, recoup some costs for him, he earns about 18 million a year.
17 million pound they bought from Spence.
And so when you amortise that across his contract period, Manchester United, if they're able to sell him for about 30 million, PSR perspective, they're in a better position than possibly what they would have been. So I would say he's a sellable asset as well.
What's your list?
Does he start in the best 11? If you've got Kobbie and you've got Ugarte, if you can't have someone on those money not starting, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
The more attacking midfield role then.
Yeah, more attacking midfield is 2 players that have had opposite kind of careers at Manchester United so far. Christian Eriksen is going to be quick because he's a free agent similar to Victor Lindelof, so I'm going to say go. But he's had a good period at Manchester United. And this season as well. He's been one of Man United's, I think he's got he's up there with one of the most goals for the squad so far. Mason Mount's a really interesting one for me because I wasn't keen on his signing last summer. It was a very unusual one, but I look at Amorim's system, a system that likes to press, congest the middle and, press in the passing lanes. Could Mason Mount be a benefit for that? But then, similar to Luke Shaw, you look at his injury record, and at Chelsea in about 5 seasons, I think he missed about 18 games altogether, and he's missed double that now at Manchester United, and he's only been there.
Quite interesting, that, isn't it? The injury problems that have happened to Manchester United. They were so vast last season. Again, this season they've been pretty vast. Do you think that some of that blame has to come down to Erik ten Hag and his management, maybe what he's doing in training, because it's so frequent?
Well, time will tell, won't it? Give it 6 months under Amorim and let's see, because that has to be looked at. There has to be looked at whether there's things that can be changed habitually and schedule-wise and whatever. And we know these players have been asked to play more than ever. Generally across the board, we're seeing high injury rates. But yeah, they do seem a bit cursed. With Mason Mount, I think this is a really interesting one where I just think, unfortunately, sometimes transfer fee just dictates the success of a player, regardless of what happens. If he comes in on a free transfer or much less and has these injuries, you're sort of, don't worry, we'll see what happens with him. But this expectation that came with him, it was a weird transfer. It just stunk of someone. Todd Bowley's got on the phone and said, I need to sell someone for X amount of money, and got his mate to help him out because it just didn't make sense. It put so much pressure on him. I don't know if it ever comes good because of that, and I think a lot of clubs don't want to get out of something that's not working. They let things go too long. Like Anthony's another good example we'll talk about.
Do you know what I'm going to say though about Mason is that I think, yes, he's been very unlucky with injury, but he played his best football for me when he was playing in a 3-4-3 under Thomas Tuchel as part of that front three, almost as like a inside right, very similar to how Amorim uses those front three. I could see Mason Mount having a really big impact as one of the members of that front three under Ruben Amorim.
Though? When we get to the attacking perspective, who are you going to drop in that?
Well, I think it's important that you have some depth in that area as well, right? You can't just have one player. Manchester United, as we've just spoken about, have such vast injury issues. Bruno Fernandes is into his 30s now. I think there is going to be opportunities for Mason Mount to have impact. At the start of the season, he was pretty good off the ball for Manchester United. Some of United's best performances involved Mason Mount.
I think it depends on demand. If someone comes in with a half-decent offer, maybe half the money they paid for him, I think you take it, to be honest. Just to get...
It is your list.
Chance, man.
I'm going to say keep, because I think it's been his first season in a bit, and, give him another season, he might come good. So
okay, next up, you've got Bruno Fernandes, who did make the most appearances under Ten Hag, of course. Second highest goal scorer under Ten Hag as well. I'm pretty sure...
Keep.
You're going to keep it? Yeah. I'm not gonna,
I don't think we have to go into depth about Bruno Fernandes.
Right?
Yeah, it'll be a keep.
Okay,
into the forwards then.
Into the forwards is going to be an interesting one. 2 of Manchester United's right wingers have had, again, different type of trajectories in terms of their career at Manchester United. Amad Diallo should be Manchester United's starting player on the right-hand side. And that's I think that's a very bold take from me. I watched him a lot at Sunderland, and I think in Amorim's system, playing behind a striker, at Sunderland we saw him a lot playing on the right-hand side, but he has the ability to come into the half spaces in the 10. And in Amorim's system, if he's playing 2 people behind the striker next to Bruno Fernandes on his left, I think he'll be able to really work well. He doesn't require a lot of touches on the ball. His technical ability is out of this world, and I think he's got a year left in his contract. Man United need to tie him down if they really want to have a technical player in their team, so I'm going to say stay.
Okay, let's get him out.
Yeah. And Anthony, of course, £85.4 million from Ajax. Man United's most used sub in all comps last season. It's not worked out the way we hoped, has it?
They didn't pay 80 million for a sub player, a bench player, a rotation player. I think for me, it's a go. It's just not worked out for him at Manchester United.
Newcastle wanted him at some point. Take the money. Just whatever they offer, just take it.
Let's get Spencer's thoughts. Should we do Marcus Rashford next? Because obviously, big talking point with regards to Marcus Rashford. 1 goal, 1 assist in 9 Premier League appearances. 8 goals in all comps last season. But you think back to 22-23, scored 30 goals, 17 in the Premier League. He's 3rd youngest Man United player to 300 appearances ever in their history. I mean, what is your take on Marcus Rashford? Because I feel like he's a player that people talk about and have an opinion on a lot.
He has spells, doesn't he? He has spells, and it always seems like we're remembering a time when he was in great form. Then he has a big period of down form, then he gets up again. So you've got to give it a go with the new manager, because he is such a streaky player that this new manager could come in and just turn him alive. It could be amazing. He's so good when he's good. I think he just turned 27, I think, this week, didn't he? So he's still in a good age for someone to have another good run at it. Obviously, he's homegrown, and that stuff's not just important because of the way the fans feel about him. It's important from a squad perspective, having homegrown players. So, again, if there's like an 80 mil plus offer for him and you need that money because you've got your eye on someone else, maybe you look at it. But otherwise, just keep him, I think.
I agree with Spencer. If it's a big fee that comes in for him, take it, because it's 100% profit. Again, emphasis on PSR, Manchester United are not in a good place from that perspective. But if you think about the numbers that he's had at Manchester United in the last 10 or so years, he's actually in great company. In the Premier League, he's only one of 5 Man United players that got 80-plus goals and 40-plus assists. He's in company with Rooney, Scholes, Giggs, Beckham. That's great company. He's got only just over 200 goal involvements in about 417 appearances. In the Premier League as well, he's got good numbers. And I think you look at all of Man United's front players, he's the most prolific goal scorer, albeit that it's inconsistent. You know, he is the one that can historically get you goals. So I think United have to keep him.
All right, let's get him up. And then we'll move on to the front three. Should we do the final three together? Let's have a look at these final
Who
three.
you've got, just to the camera, who you've got left.
I got these two left, Garnacho,
Haaland, and new signing Xerxes.
All 3 of them keep.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to actually see Rasmus Haaland in Amarim's system, especially how he utilises his number 9s. Now, he's still in his second year at Manchester United, a lot of growth, but he's got the talent. Joshua Xerxes is an interesting one because I can see the technical level, but when it comes to goal scoring, is he going to be the guy that gets you 10, 15, 20 goals in the season? I think only time will tell, but I think he's a player similar to Ugarte that was brought in preparation of a manager like Amarim coming in. And Garnacho, you guys know what Garnacho is about. He's an absolute talent, and we might see him at left wing back for Manchester United. You never know.
I don't think Joe likes that shout.
Joe
does not like that shout.
You never know.
It's going so well. The last
game as close to the goal as possible.
Because he can hold the width. He can burst down the touchline. He can come in on the left-hand side. Amarim likes to have left wing-backs that can hold the width. So Garnacho could be an option, but all 3 of them, for me, keep.
OK, split them up. That completes it. Spencer, just quickly, any that you'd change there?
I think maybe the Mason Mount shout, only if there's an offer for him, just because I think there's a chance he's going to want to put his own print on the squad. But ultimately, the managers I like are managers that can come in and work with a squad. And you look at like what Emery did at Villa. I know they've bought some players recently, but that first initial spell was all Gerrard's squad, really. You know, and I think that's what makes a good manager. And particularly in these days, we don't necessarily get control of the transfers as manager. You've got to be able to work with what you get. So let's see what you can do.
OK, so there is confirmation of Mina's selection of every player, or the main players, who you'd keep and who would go under Amarim.
To Manchester United. However, it will not happen until November the 11th. So it will be Ruud van Nistelrooy who will take charge of United as they take on Chelsea. We have talked about Ruben Amorim so much, too much.
That's not that far away, is it? You know, it's like...
Well, it's only 10 days, isn't it? There we go. Obviously, if you want to see what we think about it, you can go and check it out on the website. But let's focus, shall we, on what's going to happen at Old Trafford this weekend. United taking on Chelsea. It's fair to say that Chelsea have exceeded expectations, certainly so far this season, the way in which they played, certainly from what we saw from them in the pre-season. For Manchester United, of course, well, the fact they've just signed Ten Hag says it all. Van Nistelrooy comes into this game, though, off the back of that big win against Leicester. What changes for this game with Van Nistelrooy in charge instead of Ten Hag?
Maybe shape, maybe personnel. Not a lot else. I don't think. What he's been working on in training, if anything, he's got to have been working on something between the Leicester game, which they made a lot of changes, in this game. But there's not a lot you can do, really. I mean, it's maybe 1 or 2, maybe more personnel changes that he can make. But there's not a lot he can do, and just see if he can get some sort of bounce. It seemed they got a little bit from the Leicester game from some players. I know Leicester were really weak in their team selection, but they had at least a bit more spring in their step. But we know this Chelsea side have been very pacey going forward, and United defensively have not looked strong this season.
I think if you had both squads lined up against the wall and you're having a pick-up game, Cole Palmer is the first player that you're picking. I don't think that's even a debate. It's interesting to compare and contrast his season so far, say, to Bruno Fernandes, who has been a part of Manchester United's problem. Obviously not the problem, but certainly part that just hasn't been clicking.
Well, we talked yesterday about guys that are not good enough to be at United, and there's not a lot they can do about that. But then you've got other guys that are in the camp of are good enough, but are they doing enough? We talked yesterday about Marcus Rashford and how he needs to do more. He has the talent, and I think we can look at Bruno Fernandes as another player. And if we take a sample size of this season and last season and compare him to a guy who was effectively not wanted by Manchester City, sold off for 40 million, was going to be a bit of an afterthought. Chelsea paid too much money for him. You look at the stats, similar amount of games, battered them in goals, obviously more assists, and we're talking about 2 struggling sides here. Chelsea have been better this year, but not last year. They were a shambles. Then you look at Bruno Fernandes' disciplinary problems, the yellow cards he picks up, the red cards he picks up, and then you look at the possession. That was an interesting one for me as well, that he loses possession of the football a lot. So what we have here is a Portuguese international who is, you know, in the first 11 in the Portuguese team, to a youngster who was cast off by Guardiola, who is carrying this Chelsea side on his shoulders, and it has been a brilliant start. And I know Bruno Fernandes has been there longer, and I know when he first came in he was better, but it's about consistency.
Yeah.
And when you look at those numbers, Cole Palmer, in a kind of similar position, is better in every department for the last 15 or 16 months, which tells me, and the eye test has been telling you this anyway, that Bruno Fernandes needs to do more. But he needs to score more goals. He needs to be better on the ball and his retention on the ball. His assists need to be better. His possession of the ball and the retention need to be better. His discipline needs to be better. Because Cole Palmer usurps him in every one of those facets of the game. As a youngster who was kind of thrown out, down into the bright lights of London, and a side that, and don't tell me, oh, is Man United are not a good side. Chelsea, as we know, up until this season, have been just all over the place. And yet here's this youngster, it seems almost every week, doing brilliant things, carrying this team. And we have Bruno Fernandes. Every time we watch him play, we all say, arguing with the ref again.
Yes.
Moaning about this decision, moaning about that decision. But he's another player for this new manager. He's a countryman coming in. He needs to think about his game, think about what he needs to bring to this Man United side, and stop all the peripheral nonsense about it's been everybody else's fault. And then he might just get back to matching these Cole Palmer numbers, which are fantastic, it has to be said. But Bruno Fernandes is lagging, and I mean lagging, well behind the top playmakers in European football at the moment.
And that's why Cole Palmer's an interesting comparison, because, as Craig says, last season Chelsea were a mess.
Yep.
Yet Cole Palmer was the one shining star. So it's not just a product of the players that you have around you. Why has Bruno Fernandes' form dipped so much?
I think I would disagree with you there, Dan, and say that I think this has a lot to do, particularly with Bruno Fernandes, about what's around him.
But what am I saying
Because
is,
all
like,
of
Cole
those
Palmer
things-
last season had a mess around him, yet he still
Palmer had
managed
nothing
to
around
put
him.
it in.
Yeah, but he's a different type.
Right.
Clearly, he has a different mentality. You know, the Bruno Fernandes we see with Man United, from not from the playing point of view, but from the discipline to the pouting to all of that stuff, it doesn't happen when he's at Portugal. It doesn't happen. So he's just one of these.
But that's his
But
that's
he's
his
just one
problem.
of these guys. No,
He needs to sort that. That's the point.
I don't disagree that that's his problem. But he's a guy that clearly can't fix that in the situation he's in with what he has around him. He just gets caught up in it and ends up being as bad, or if not worse, than the rest of them. So Cole Palmer, clearly from a mentality standpoint of view, doesn't worry about what's around him.
Right. Is that the naivety of youth, a little?
Possibly. But there's no question that you can't argue with that. It affects Bruno Fernandes at United, and it doesn't affect Cole Palmer. But the interesting thing is, with Portugal, Bruno Fernandes is a different player.
Frank?
Yeah, I think simply Bruno Fernandes is not a leader.
Thank you, Frank. Will he be scoring at this weekend? Let's take a look at everybody's predictions going into that big game at Old Trafford. Everyone but former Chelsea player Frank Leboeuf believes it will be the visitors who will take 3
He really
points.
is pushing the envelope here to be the most hated ex-Chelsea player. It's nose to nose at the moment, but with my nose, I've got the lead.
Everyone expects there to be goals. Everyone's gone for at least 4 goals in this game. Frank, what is it do you think will be different from the Manchester United we've seen so far this season, going up against a Chelsea team that we know are going to squeeze you and push you and try to catch you on that counter-attack?
Because I always thought that when you change the coach, something is going on in the dressing room. And we saw against Leicester, 5 goals, Fernandes 2, Casemiro 2, the leaders are there. So you have a kind of a reaction. Maybe it doesn't last long, but it's very fresh, still very new. And I believe that this team can draw against Chelsea. Chelsea, yeah, they're doing great, but I mean, drawing away from home against Manchester is not also a bad result for a team who never thought would have that level. And so I'm expecting sometimes a little bit of downs. And again, if you score 2 goals away from home from from a young squad with a defense where we don't really know what they're worth, because really we see so many mistakes. So we have to calm down with Chelsea. I think drawing away from home is already a good result, and I really hope that I'm going to be wrong and they're going to win. But not losing is already something good for Chelsea.
I think if Chelsea go away, I think what will give Chelsea some heart is the way they played in the defeat at Liverpool. If they can go away and control the game the way they controlled large parts of that game, obviously there was some defensive frailties in the finishing. Wasn't up to scratch, but their actual control of the game, particularly in the first half, was very good. If they can do that, and I don't see any reason why not, because United have really struggled in that department, if they can do that at Old Trafford, they win this game. I mean, it's quite simple from where I'm standing in that respect. If they have that amount of control...
You're sitting.
Huh?
You're sitting.
What do you mean?
Well, you said where I'm standing, you're sitting at the moment.
Oh, right, you confused me. There you go. It's Friday. Frank found it funny.
I love it.
I don't think it really matters how Chelsea set out here, because if Manchester United want to try and do what Liverpool tried to do, then Chelsea will do exactly what they did with Liverpool and create chances. And I don't think they'll do that personally. I think Van Nistelrooy, having scored 5 goals at home at Old Trafford in the midweek, other than Onana and Zirkzee, will throw out the same team.
Right.
And you know, we heard them talking about his conversation with Bruno Fernandes. I want you to go and enjoy it now. I want you to do it. That's got let's just go on forward. That's what that
So it should be good for us as a neutral, yeah?
It should be good for us. It should be even better for Chelsea.
Right.
I mean, you talk about a team that loves to get at you quick in the counter-attack. So, and if you're losing 2 goals to Leicester reserves as well, playing that way, how many are you going to lose to Cole Palmer and Cole if you do the same thing? So either way, Man United want to do this, they're going to lose goals. This has got goals written all over it, and it's got a Chelsea win.
Was he not to go and enjoy himself when?
No, it's all business.
Dharmesh Sheth is here. Good to see you, Dharmesh. Yeah, let's start with Ruben Amorim then, the new Manchester United head coach. So, Dharmesh, Man United moved really, really quickly. How do they get this done?
Yeah, that's an understatement. They move really quickly, really efficiently, and it should be said here that Manchester United only spoke to Ruben Amorim since Erik ten Hag signed that contract in July, that contract extension in his contract. Before that, it was an open secret that Manchester United were talking to a lot of managers while they were conducting that post-season review on whether Erik ten Hag was going to stay at the football club or not. But once they decided that they were going to keep Erik ten Hag, and listen, they wanted him to stay and they wanted it to work, but it's not worked. And I think they've admitted that it hasn't worked simply because they decided, Erik, thanks, but no thanks, and they sacked him on Monday. And from then, they've moved very, very quickly. Yes, they've done due diligence on a number of candidates throughout this whole process. But in that time, I'm told that the only person that they spoke to was the sporting manager, Ruben Amorim. And what's happened since is that they've moved very, very quickly, very, very efficiently, to the point now that 4 days after Erik ten Hag was sacked by Manchester United, United have now announced that Amorim is their new head coach.
Given that there was only one man in the frame, have United had to compromise?
Slightly. So we were talking when Erik ten Hag was sacked and we knew that Ruben Amorim was the front runner to take on this job. There was talk of a €10 million release clause. Now, Sporting have since released a statement themselves saying that Manchester United have actually paid €11 million. So they've paid that little bit extra. I'm told it's nothing to do with the backroom staff. I'm told there's no problem with that. The €11 million that they are paying, which is in excess of the release clause that was in his contract initially, was to cut down the notice period. Because even if a club came in to get Ruben Amorim and paid the €10 million release clause, there was still a 30-day notice period that he had to serve with the club before he could move. Manchester United felt that was far too long. They wanted to get him as soon as possible. They probably wanted him in today. But they've managed to compromise with Sporting Lisbon by paying that extra bit of money. And with that extra bit of money, they've cut down that 30-day notice period to 10 days. So now Ruben Amorim is going to start his job on November the 11th. That's at the start of the international break. So it feels like a clean break for both Manchester United and for Sporting Lisbon. What that means is that he'll still be in charge for 3 more games for Sporting. The first one is tonight, which is quite significant. It's the first one since the announcement. So it'll be interesting to see the kind of reaction he's going to get from the Sporting fans ahead of their game against Estrella. Then on Tuesday, it's a small matter of a Champions League game at home to Manchester City.
Could be an immediate United hero, couldn't he?
He could. It's going to be his final home game in charge of Sporting, and it comes against Manchester United's noisy neighbours, Manchester City, in the Champions League. And then his final game, this has got a bit of symmetry to it as well, is going to be next weekend, and that's away to Braga. Now, Braga is the team that he managed before he went to Sporting. Now, Sporting themselves had to pay money and compensation to get him out of his Braga contract, rather like Manchester United have had to do to get him out of Sporting.
Is it significant that he is a head coach and not the manager?
It's a good question. Look, Manchester United have got this structure with Ineos. They've got a chief executive in Omar Barada. They've got a sporting director in Dan Ashworth. They've got a technical director in Jason Wilcox. And in that structure, the man who is going to be overseeing the first team is usually a head coach. Now, if you go back to what happened with Erik ten Hag, when he joined United in 2022, he signed a 3-year contract with a 1-year option as the manager of Manchester United, because United didn't have this structure in place at the time. Now, when they did that post-season review and decided to stick with Erik ten Hag, everyone thought, right, they're really backing the manager. In one way they were, because they
Small blazing a trail at the top of the table. So grab your toffee apples, wrap up warm, settle in for what promises to be a bonfire weekend spectacular. We've got all the action, all the drama, all the goals right here on Talk Sport. Well, we paid more than a pretty penny for this guy. Former England captain and ex-Manchester City and Nottingham Forest manager Stuart Pearce is with me. A crucial game for both, but what are you expecting?
Well, I'm expecting goals, definitely. I think there's enough at the front end of both teams. Good to see Isak back again in the ranks. So definitely goals. And I've got to touch on, before we get going, that was an immaculate from both sets of fans, that minute's silence. Quite incredible.
Indeed. Very well respected. Newcastle United in black and white striped jerseys with black shorts and black socks, attacking the goal away to our right in the first half. Not their preference. They like to shoot downhill towards the Gallowgate in the second usually, but it will be reversed for them today. And Arsenal in red-bodied shirts with white sleeves and white shorts, red socks, attacking the end. Their supporters are in the Lees' end away to our left. They have the ball on the halfway line. It's picked up by Trossard, who finds Bukayo Saka, the England international, over on the right-hand side. Cuts in, finds Havertz, looks for the return, and Dan Burn, the big, gangly 6'7" defender, stretches back and manages to clear his lines, but only as far as Jurrien Timber, and then back to the left it goes, and Marino round the back to Timber, flicks it through into the penalty area. Havertz tries to set it back for Declan Rice. He does get it back to Partey, right side on the edge of the area. Saka picks it up again, takes on Joel Linton. Fast start from Arsenal here at St James's Park. Back with Arsenal once again. Saka, Rice, and then Partey stretching the play out to the wide right, and then his languid ball infield towards Bukayo Saka is cut out by Joe Linton, and Newcastle will clear.
Yeah, just looking at Newcastle's approach to pressing when Arsenal had it in deep areas, they've near enough gone man for man and followed their man wherever, even if it interchanged their formation, and I think it'll be important that Arsenal try to pull them around a little bit to break the ranks of Newcastle.
Already Joe Linton and Joe Willock have switched and moved positions, and it's Joe Willock who's bursting down that left-hand side. I'll go through the 2-11s in just a second, but there's another turnover in the centre circle, and Arsenal have got it back, and they go on the hunt down towards the edge of the penalty area. Trossard doesn't catch his shot well, and he drags it wide of the left-hand post, and it's out of play away to our left-hand side and out for a goal kick. So Newcastle United with Nick Pope in goal, Tino Livramento at right back, Fabian Schär, the Swiss international, and Dan Burn at the heart of their defence. Lewis Hall, the young Englishman, at left back. Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton in midfield, with Gordon, Isaac and Willock as the furthest forward. And as I mentioned earlier, Willock and Joel Linton, depending on the scenario that faces them, will interchange those positions. If you looked at the average positions those two players occupied during the game against Chelsea, Willock were much further forward. For Arsenal, David Raya, the Spanish international goalkeeper, is between the sticks. The right back is Partey, Saliba back from suspension, Gabriel is fit again, and the left back is Jurrien Timber. Marino and Rice holding in midfield, Trossard behind, Kai Havertz, the German international, Martinelli and Saka wide on the flanks. John Brooks, our referee, has just given a free kick for a foul over on the far side, and we're back underway. We played just a little over 3 minutes on TalkSport and the Talk Network. Here is Longstaff sending the ball out towards this near touchline, looking for Livramento. Takes a little deflection and goes out for a throw midway inside the Newcastle United half. The noise absolutely deafening, as it always is inside this stadium. And what is it like as a player when you're playing inside this stadium in front of this crowd and they're behind you? Do they give you extra wind in your sails?
I'd been at Nottingham Forest for 12 years when I come here, and I remember it like it was yesterday. My first game, Sheffield Wednesday at home, first game of the season, and it was deafening. I've never heard noise like it, whether it been in an international shirt or a club shirt. It was incredible, and when this place gets rocking, you know about it.
0-0, Raya under pressure as the ball goes back to him from the Arsenal defence. He lofts it high into the grey, grizzly sky. It's headed forward by Dan Burn, taken down by Joel Linton, and then shepherded back to his own goalkeeper by the Newcastle fullback Lewis Hall, wide over on the left-hand side, about an inch or so in from the touchline. He gets it again, gives it to the Brazilian Bruno Guimaraes, who funnels it forward to the halfway line. Joel Linton links the play well, then Longstaff sends it wide, and Willock goes on the scamper, and Bruno Guimaraes joins. He tries to get a cross into the box, but it's blocked by Gabriel. It bounces behind for the first corner of the game, and it's a Newcastle corner.
Yeah, really good play there. Declan Rice was dragged out the centre of midfield, going with his man, and as both teams are following their men around, certainly Newcastle. But what it does do, if you can break that press and free space up by dragging your player away from where he wants to be, you get openings like we've just seen, Sam.
Corner kick far side to be taken by Anthony Gordon. Burn in the centre. At the back post, Isaac. Joe Linton trying to make space. It goes in towards the near post. Schär didn't get there, but Havertz managed to head it away. It's one back by Lewis Hall, far side. Collected now by Gordon, who tries to push it into the path of Lewis Hall. And there's a foul by Willock on Saka, and it's going to be a free kick just in from the touchline. Arsenal led twice against Liverpool last week, but couldn't hold on to their lead. Newcastle fought back from a goal down at Chelsea, but succumbed to Cole Palmer's brilliance in the end. But Newcastle, despite the downturn in form, are better at this fortress, and they proved that in midweek when they managed to knock Chelsea out of the Carabao Cup. And this is the team that did that. They've started with the same team today. And actually, they started the season with some iffy performances, but good results, Newcastle, and then a run of bad results that hasn't really matched their more promising performances. Raya taking his time, overtaking a free kick, which has still not taken place, Stuart Pearce.
No, he's taken a while to set his team up, and then, as often is the case, the target being Havertz.
Long ball up towards him. It bounces for Marino, who was here back in 2017, a year under Rafa Benitez, but he volleys the ball well wide of the goal away to our left, and that setup didn't really lead to anything for Arsenal, whose form has dipped too. The Gunners have dropped points in 4 of their last 7 Premier League matches. Prior to that, they had won 8 successive games. 6 minutes, 20 seconds gone. And a goal kick away to our left, which is going to be taken by Nick Pope, who's going to send that upfield right through the middle of the pitch, looking for Alexander Isak, the Swede, tall and slender, and has spent time in Spain and Germany on his career so far. He's still only 24 years of age, is Alexander Isak, and he is a player who has certainly added to the quality levels in this Newcastle squad since being signed from Real Sociedad. Trossard under pressure from Longstaff, and then Longstaff commits a foul. It's going to be a free kick just short of the halfway line.
Yeah, he's Longstaff claiming he didn't catch him. I think he did, and I think the referee made a good decision there. It's interesting to see these early stages of games. You can almost, it's a direct mirror of what they've probably worked on this week. You can see both teams, how they come out, how they tactically line up. I find it intriguing.
Gabriel tries to elevate the ball over the top of the Newcastle defence. The header from, that's a poor header from Cher. That's come straight to Marino, edge of the area, after Trossard just sort of provided the nuisance factor. Comes back out to Trossard, left side of the area, tries to cross it. Livramento blocks it, clears, but only as far as Timber. They're getting penned in here. Here's Trossard down the left. Across comes a slide tackle from Longstaff. It goes out behind into the Lees' end, and it's going to be a corner for the away side. Arsenal 0-0 the score. TalkSport and the TalkSport network. 8 minutes gone now, and there's just a moment there where Dan Burn sort of headed the ball back across the face of his own goal, and then Cher could get no distance on the resulting header, and that just invited pressure.
Well, I think what happens this day and age, defenders are expected not to clear balls but to keep it alive and play a short pass, even in danger zones, even with your head on the edge of the box, and it's obviously cost his team a corner respectively.
It might be ill-advised on that occasion. Here is the corner. Declan Rice to take it. They're loaded at the back post here, Arsenal, and then they sprint towards the near post, and that creates a gap for Gabriel. Tries to get on the end of it. It's fisted away by Pope, and now a chance to try and counter-attack, and Gabriel dragged down his compatriot Bruno Guimaraes and stopped a breakaway by Newcastle United. Now they do get the ball long, up to Isak, with Arsenal not quite set, and Isak takes it down beautifully and turns tight to the touchline, far side, tries to feed Willock, but overhits his pass, and Rice is back to cover inside the penalty area, and Arsenal tidy up and bring the ball away. But Newcastle obviously spotted that from their set piece that they were defending, they could very quickly try and break on Arsenal.
Yeah, they certainly can, and another intriguing point from that as well. Trossard come right out to join Declan Rice for a short one, and Newcastle said, well, we know you're going to put the ball in the box, we're not sending anybody out, and just left it with them.
Here is Marino for the away side in the red shirts, going away to our left with the big, thick white bits down the side, and the arms all white as well. White shorts attacking the goal to our left. Here's Saka taking on Lewis Hall, far touchline, cuts infield, midway inside the Newcastle half. Arsenal on the ascendancy here, looking for Saka to try and get around the back of Lewis Hall. Does well, defended that well, Lewis Hall, just stopped him, then managed to get the ball down to the byline, cleared it out for a throw-in over on the far side. Interestingly, I was talking to someone earlier on today about Lewis Hall and about England's dearth of left-backs, and what, you know, the sort of question is, why wouldn't you call him up if you haven't got anybody else?
Well, if he's good enough for his place in Newcastle's side, that probably tells you he'd probably be good enough for a place in the international squad, that is for sure. But he's got to play regularly here, and it's good to see a young man like himself.
Well, he has played
into the team
in all 12 games this season, yep. Lewis Hall, and I think England have got to take a gamble on a young left back, an unproven left back, on the basis that there isn't anybody that qualifies experience-wise further up the food chain.
I don't think I'd call that a gamble even.
Here is Timber taking the ball down high inside opposition territory and turning away from his first man, plays it on to Saka inside the box. He gets it onto his left foot, drags the ball goalwards. It goes narrowly wide of the left hand, upright and out for a goal kick But to Jurrien Timber, who's playing as the left back, wandered into a really advanced position, into the top of the, sort of almost into the number 9 position there, from the ball played forward, did well to hold off the first challenge and then fed Saka brilliantly, and it was an excellent bit of movement from the Dutchman.
Yeah, and that come from the fact we mentioned earlier about Newcastle going man for man with their players all over the pitch. Both centre-halves went with their respective players. They went into midfield, and Timber identified that and just roared into the space that was left. But that's what you've got to do, move your players around to create space for somebody else.
Well, look, on to Isak now, who gets into the penalty area, and across comes Saliba and does brilliantly to nudge the ball away to safety. Interestingly about that, Gordon turned around to Eddie Howe and said, when he goes in there, Jurrien Timber, do you want me to go with him? And Howe went, no.
Well, put it this way, he did go earlier in the game. I saw Gordon track Timber back when Timber went, but Timber didn't make that run, which was dynamic, straight through the middle and arrive at centre forward. Willock
into Isak, Longstaff, 10 yards back from the edge of the area, out to Gordon, right wing cross, into Isak, brilliant header, up high and powers it beyond David Raya, and Newcastle United lead. And Alexander Isak, who scored against Chelsea twice last week, has now scored against Arsenal, who are on the back foot at St James's Park. First firework has been lit by Newcastle. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Well, I've just seen an absolute textbook training ground crossing and shooting session, or crossing and finishing session, should I say. Brilliantly played, diagonal ball into Isak. It was headed down. Isak didn't get first contact, but when it arrived out wide to Gordon, he just feathered the ball in the box, a little bit of curl away from the goalkeeper. It's magnificent cross. We don't see that anymore with these inverted wingers, but that was absolutely ideal. Gordon playing on his right hand side, on his favoured right foot. The cross was sumptuous, the finish with his head, Isak, even better.
What has happened to this Arsenal defence? Their success in recent years has been built on clean sheets, but the injuries and suspensions certainly have bitten, and that has meant a lack of rhythm at the back. The Gunners now 6 games without a Premier League clean sheet. They've now conceded 10 goals in their last 5 games and 13 minutes. And they had conceded just 9 goals in 20 Premier League games before that. Isak delighted. Great header, great cross into the box, but will the Arsenal defence be disappointed, Stuart Pearce?
Yeah, they're going to have to be. The ball's arrived. It was a brilliant cross, make no mistake about that, but he's between the goal posts, centre of the goal, unmarked. Someone's got to get a little bit tighter to him. I think maybe they were unexpected. They didn't expect Gordon to whip it in first time, potentially.
Stoke 1, Derby 0. Stoke without a win in 4, have taken the lead in the Championship. 3 games in the Championship today. Oxford, Swansea and Blackburn versus Sheffield United also taking place at 12:30 this lunchtime. Free kick far side to be sent in by Declan Rice. About to swing the ball to the back post as Arsenal look for an immediate response to going behind to Newcastle United, who took 10 points from a possible 12 in their opening 4 Premier League games, but have picked up just 2 points from 15 in their 5 games since. Here is Martinelli on halfway, sending it forward, looking for Trossard. Byrne, the centre half, just comes out to the edge of the D and nods the ball into the path of his partner Cher, who does well to invert the ball back into midfield. Bruno Guimaraes tries to move it forward, and Newcastle pretty happy about the fact they're leading by a 1-0. The crowd in here certainly happy about that goal. So well constructed. Gordon's delivery was perfect from the right hand side, and we thought he might end up going over to the left, but he played on the right against Chelsea in midweek, and it was a right-footed cross into the box which has done the damage.
I think if you're a centre forward, you're absolutely delighted that the likes of Gordon is playing on the right side with the right foot that he's got. The fact he's going to put the ball in first time. If he was playing on the opposite side, he'd have took a few touches, tried to come inside, no cross comes into the box.
Ryan playing out from the back, plays it to Saliba, who's crunched by Joel Linton. Arsenal will feel this is a fixture they have to get through if they want to win the title. They can't afford to drop too many more points. Lose today and the gap to City at the top of the table looks more like a chasm, really, especially at this stage of the season. And Arsenal have been housing the All Blacks at their training ground this week. Mikel Arteta has a good relationship with the All Blacks head coach Stuart Robertson. They're in action today against England. They're in a WhatsApp group of elite leaders. I know you've been involved in sort of like sharing ideas across different sports as when you were in charge of the under-21s, and it's a useful tool, isn't it? But I tell you what, they need some inspiration to get to grips with this game.
Yeah, they certainly do. I don't know how the scrummaging on Arsenal's training grounds left it this week, though.
Yes, I wouldn't want to be the head groundsman at London Colney.
No, I bet you he didn't
trying to
rub his hands when that news arrived.
Jurrien Timber up over the halfway line. Feeds the ball out to Martinelli. Martinelli back in field to Jurrien Timber. Timber looks up. There's lots of black and white shirts behind the ball, and it comes backwards rather than forwards into Gabriel. Gabriel, who's about 10 yards in front of the centre circle, finds Jurrien Timber and once again looks to build from the back. Arsenal behind at Newcastle United. Manchester City and Liverpool playing at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We've got live commentary of that Manchester City game away at Bournemouth on the Talksport network, and talk throughout the course of the afternoon. Rice forward, Partey takes it on.
Just looking at overloads in certain areas of the pitch, and he's on it now. Havertz pulling away from that centre forward position, out on the right hand side with Saka, and this game's going to be all about that. Where can we get the overloads? Where can we move the opposition around, make it uncomfortable for them, and get overloads or free
Havertz
space?
into the box down the left side, tries to chip the ball towards the far post. Saka up with a header and heads it goalwards, and it's wide of the left hand upright. Well, it's a good opportunity that, actually, and it's the second time he's threatened the goal away to our left. Saka in the opening few minutes of the game. We've only played 18 minutes, and it was a good cross that by Havertz, and he did well to get up above Lewis Hall.
Yeah, it was an outstanding cross from Havertz. As I say, he generated himself on the right hand side where he was with Saka, come straight across the box, got on the ball in and around the 6-yard box, and just dinked one up to the far post.
Sheffield United can go second with a win in the Championship this lunchtime. Blackburn 0, Sheffield United 1, the latest score. You're listening to Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0 on Talk Sport and the Talk Network with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Wolves versus Crystal Palace later. Search now Sports. Cross into the box. Gabriel Martinelli tries to deliver it towards Leandro Trossard. It's dealt with by the Newcastle defence, shuffled down the play on this near side, takes a deflection, it's away for a Newcastle throw deep inside their right back area. Mikel Arteta would have been sitting there thinking, Gabriel's come through his issues, Saliba is back from suspension. When those two don't play, we don't keep clean sheets, so we'll be fine today. Well, Newcastle have exposed them already. Throw in to be taken by Livramento, who now himself is taking his time over the throw in. Into Isak, back to Livramento, hoisted into the air and up and under that goes to halfway. Put back into the Newcastle half by Saliba, and then Jurrien Timber tries to keep it away from harm's way, but hooked back on by Anthony Gordon towards Willock and Isak, but it's dealt with by Marino and then eventually picked up on halfway by Bruno Guimaraes, and Newcastle have possession again. You're listening to Talk Sport. Here is Lewis Hall tussling with
And, that's a very poor pass. Well, in fact, it does meet its target, though. The diagonal play towards Joe Linton. Now Joe Willock, 25 yards out from goal. Guimaraes at the midway point of the attacking half. He's got space to his left and to his right. It's Longstaff. Now played back towards... Here is Anthony Gordon. Midway point of the attacking half now is Tino Livramento. And now it's Bruno Guimaraes. It's got a beautiful piece of skill. Guimaraes looking to pop one from range. It actually comes off the back heel of Joe Willock. And it will be a Arsenal breakaway potentially for Bukayo Saka, who's going to break past halfway. He's awarded the free kick, however. So we'll see the free kick taken. Just on halfway for Arsenal. Towards that left-hand side. Here is Mikel Merino on the left-hand touchline. Looking to break forward, but he's eventually awarded the free kick. I have to say, it's been a very high-quality game of football so far. Either side just throwing about everything at it at the moment. Shah just clipping the heels of Mikel Merino. Here's Declan Rice in line with the edge of the penalty area. Declan Rice is a pivotal moment for him. It's right into the head of Anthony Gordon. You can't write that, and he swivels past Declan Rice. Playing the ball down the line, looking for Isak, and well, there was Timber getting in the way. In fact, to William Saliba, should we say. So it will be Tino Livramento in the defensive half for Newcastle United. Now Shah. Now towards the right-hand side of Livramento once more. Newcastle looking to build through midfield as Bruno Guimaraes in the centre circle now. Willock, a great ball out towards that right flank. It's Anthony Gordon towards the right edge of the area. He's got Timber for support, breaks inside, couple step overs towards the byline, across towards the back post. No one's there to meet it. A great chance for Newcastle, and I think the last touch came off an Arsenal player, so it will be a Newcastle corner. But this is a great touch from Willock and sent the ball out towards the right hand side, and there was Anthony Gordon. He's been a man possessed so far. A couple of step overs, and I think the helping deflection from, I think it was Timber, I'm pretty sure, saw it out for a corner on that left hand side. So knocking on the door, asking the questions, Newcastle United. Yeah, it's going to be Anthony Gordon who's going to bring Newcastle's second corner of the afternoon into play. Delivered now towards the central region. It's still high up, and it's going to be Reyes to claim. He does so eventually. Isak just looking to muscle through. The Spaniard not too happy with that though. Midway point of the defensive half, out towards that left hand side now. Here is Gabriel Martinelli looking to break away. He does so very well with a few step overs. Now it's Trossard. Beautiful piece of skill now finds Thomas Partey on the right edge of the area. It's Saka breaking inside, looking to roll it across the goal, but he can't do so now. It's Saka back towards the right edge of the penalty area, this time with Partey. Now Rice. Now Saka. Going to drive towards a byline, get the cross away, and it's Shah who lunges at it and sends it out for a corner. And this is going to be fascinating. Can Arsenal manage to generate a goal here? As Shah just launches it over the top, and it will be a corner. see the delivery arrive now from Declan Rice. See Declan Rice looking to deliver now. Does so towards the back post. The header across. It can't be bundled home. Cleared off the line. It's Timber now. Oh my word. That is a crucial chance for Arsenal. Left edge of the penalty area now, Declan Rice. Rolls it across. Trossard with space to shoot. He can't shoot. And then again, a crucial chance given away for Arsenal. Wow. That is a goal mouth scramble if you've seen any. The ball delivered. Saliba with the header. Nick Pope was a bit under duress. And then the attempted half volley from Mikel Merino. That was something. Well. Somehow they couldn't find themselves the goal. Down the right edge of the penalty area. And they just couldn't find it. A throw in for Newcastle. Just inside the defensive half on that right-hand side. It's going to be Tino Livramento. Guimarães. Two Brazilians, Guimarães and Martinelli, going to battle. And there's Guimarães who wins out the free kick inside the attacking half. John Brooks having a word with Mikel Merino. Lewis Hall now. The delivery from just on halfway for Newcastle. Tied towards the left edge of the area. Players are waiting on the line though. Willick now. Looking to turn away. He does so brilliantly past Saka. Gets the ball into the area. It's Isak who's waiting. And now it's going to be Leandro Trossard. Racing down that left-hand side and can't exactly break away at all. Will be a throw for Newcastle. Just past halfway on that right-hand side. It's Isak back to goal. It's towards Sean Longstaff in the centre circle. On halfway is Lewis Hall. Left-hand touchline is Alexander Isak. Waiting in the middle, Willick. Now Guimarães. Need to be muscled down by Declan Rice, but Arsenal win it back. And it's going to be just on halfway, but it's for Saka. It's going to sit kindly for him. And he can't exactly bomb the ball forward out towards the waiting Kai Havertz on that right-hand side. It's Saka, though, who gets a touch away. And it will bob up for, I believe, Lewis Hall. And Nick Pope just says, enough of that, let's just bomb it out of play and give Arsenal the throw-in just past halfway on that right-hand side. Thrown into Arsenal's midway point of the defensive half this time through Declan Rice. Now it's Timber back to Rice and across laterally to Gabriel. Mikel Merino towards the central right hand side. Here is Gabriel looking to break forward, does so very kindly, and it's Partey towards that right hand touchline. Havertz. Now Declan Rice at the midway point of the defensive half. One ball out towards Timber, just inside the defensive half though, and it's going to find space for Trossard. The Belgian, what can he do here? Towards the left edge of the left-hand touchline, it's Martinelli. Looking to drive towards the byline and wins the throw-in. The corner now to arrive. This will be a crucial moment for Arsenal. I mean, their title hopes are slowly shifting away. This could add some more pain to their season at the moment if they're able to not secure the win this afternoon. Here's Declan Rice, delivered towards the back post, and it will be a goal kick. That was a pretty tame corner, you have to say, by all stretches of the imagination. So let's see what happens with the goal kick. Now delivered. It's high. It's in the attacking half for Newcastle. A backwards header from Joel Linton. Left hand side of the pitch. It's Isak. Well, keeps it in play just. Partey now. He's going to look to shift away. Now at the midway point of the defensive half is Declan Rice. He's going to find numbers forward potentially. Does so eventually through Timber. Just past halfway. Martinelli on the left hand touchline. Going to race forward and beat past Livramento with pace. And he's looking to beat him well and truly now. He can't do so, unfortunately. Livramento can keep it in play, and it's off the foot of Juan Martinelli, who is very incensed with the referee. Believes it did not come off him. Not sure what's going to happen here, really. There's a bit of a discussion now. All for a throw-in. I'm not really sure. Then we're talking to Saka, the captain, and yeah, not too happy. Yeah, so I mean, Martinelli's not happy at all. Guimaraes is also on the ground here. Is believed to be involved in a little bit of... Oh, this does not look good at all. This does not look good for Bruno Guimaraes. He's holding his ankle, I think. Maybe his knee, I'm not sure, but well, this is not good news for Newcastle fans. Looks to lunge at it. I think Marino, did he make contact? I'm not sure. I think he looks to be okay though. Okay. And so we'll see after all that, I think we're going to see a free kick for Newcastle at the midway point of the defensive half. I think Fabian Schär is going to deliver. Now it's delivered up the pitch. 10 minutes left in this first half, of course. We'll be throwing for Arsenal. At the midway point of the defensive half. On that left-hand side, Timber to take the throw-in. Does so now. Headed back in by Havertz. Here is Bukayo Saka. Now at the midway point of Arsenal's attack. It's out towards Thomas Partey. He's got numbers for support. Midway point of the attacking half. Oh, it's a great ball from Trossard nearly, but too much mustard on it to find the feet of Saka in the midway point of the attacking half, but that was a crucial opportunity for Arsenal. No one really up ahead at all. Saka had space to find the pass and potentially deliver the finish, but that was not something that they required at this time. That is for certain. Now towards corner, the goal kick taken, should we say? Is Kai Havertz in the midway point of the defensive half. Breaks past halfway. He's going to stride forward, but can't do so. And Hall's going to play it back to his goalkeeper in Nick Pope. Here's Fabian Schär. Long ball forward. That's intercepted by Timber at the midway point of Arsenal's attacking half now. Now towards the left-hand side. Here is Martinelli approaching the left edge of the penalty area. He's got two defenders for support. Looking to fashion across the way. The last touch came off Martinelli, and it will be a goal kick. Well, there you go. That's going to be interesting moment for him now. Nick Pope to take the goal kick. Get the header, win the header. In fact, was Mikel Merino. Wins it again, just inside the defensive half for Arsenal. Long ball forward from Bruno Guimaraes, and it's going to be held by David Raya. Central right-hand side is William Saliba. Midway point of the defensive half, Saliba again. Shifting away. Going to play it down the line, and does so, and wins a throw-in to Arsenal. Midway point of the attack of the defensive half, Arsenal to take the throw-in. It's Saliba. It's back towards David Raya. Oh, that's given away. It's Guimaraes. Out towards the right edge of the penalty area is Isak. Rolls it across towards the D region, and I don't know what exactly happened there, but now Trossard's been lunged to ground. And it's going to be awarded the free kick at the midway point of the defensive half. And a yellow card for good measure. Shard is stepping in, and now Longstaff as well. And just inside the defensive half, it's Thomas Partey. Now towards that right-hand side, past halfway. On halfway again. Long ball forward, looking for Saka. Oh, Saka lunged to ground again. Oh, this is a very ugly tackle at the midway point of the attacking half for Arsenal on that right-hand side. Saka in a heap. Havertz in a heap. That is going to be very intriguing. Havertz has been bundled to ground here from Bruno Guimaraes. I wonder what the decision will be made here. Five minutes prior to the half, it's going to be Declan Rice to fashion in delivery at the midway point of the attacking half on that right-hand side. Let's see what they can deliver from this position. It's Declan Rice, flashing towards the back post. It's kept in play by Saka. Left edge of the area, it's Martinelli. Now it's going to be Partey. Delivers towards the back post, and just exactly with too much whip on it. I think that's definitely befitting of the description. And Gabriel couldn't poke it home for a lead. And this is a great delivery from Thomas Partey towards the back post, but no one could exactly find it at all. Joe Linton asking for the ball from Nick Pope from the goal kick. He receives. Oh, he's been lunged to ground by I think that time it was Thomas Partey. Absolutely walloped. That is quite intriguing. Lots of needless challenges made so far in this first half. I have to say, Joe Willock down this left-hand touchline, in line with the penalty area. He's been put to ground by Thomas Partey again. This game has a bit of spice to it, you'd have to say. And the free kick taken quickly, or maybe not. John Brooks is going to call it back. I think he's going to call it back. Yes, it will be called back. So Willock, yeah, just a bit too much from Thomas Partey on Joe Willock. And to the free kick to be delivered in line with the edge of the area on that left-hand side. It's going to be Lewis Saul's going to stand over it, and Gordon going to whip it into the near post. No one's there to meet it though. Batted away by Arsenal. Now just past halfway for Newcastle in the attacking half. A long ball, searching ball forward, looking for Dan Burn. It's Gabriella gets it away now towards the right edge of the area. It's Fabian Schär. It's going to roll it across towards Longstaff, waiting in the middle, and it's going to be. It looked to be kept in play by Bruno Guimaraes, but he couldn't do so. So it will be a throw in to Arsenal in that defensive half on that left-hand side. England Timber is going to be the one to throw it in. Adrian Timber. Throw it in now. Backwards header again. And it's Gordon. Right hand. Wow, it's a brilliant touch from Isak. Out towards the left-hand side, here is Lewis Hall at the midway point of the attacking half for Newcastle, looking to spray it towards the right-hand side. The intercepted header from Julian Timber, and it's going to be into the arms of the trusty arms of David Raya. Roll it out towards that central left-hand side of Gabriel. Declan Rice. Here is Thomas Partey. Gabriel. Midway point of the defensive half is Thomas Partey. Again. Look at a break part, midway point of the attacking half, and there's going to be 3 minutes of added time, and a great incisive ball for Mikel Merino, breaking inside the area. He's Martinelli, and can't roll it across goal. So they're driving towards the byline, looking for options back of a step from him. He can eventually find the option of Timber, just traversing on the edge of the area, but it's forced back from Trossard. Central right-hand side of the pitch now. Thomas Partey, about 35 yards out from goal, looks towards Kai Havertz. Now Saliba in the centre circle. Here is Thomas Partey. Midway point of the attacking half is Bukayo Saka. Now at the midway, now in the centre circle, should we say, is Gabriel. Now Out towards Julian Timber, central left-hand side of the pitch. Rolled square. Incisive ball. Mikel Merino on the edge of the area. Out towards Martinelli. Shifting it towards the back post. Pope punches it away. He's got Saka waiting on that right-hand side. Can keep it in. Just about. And will win a throw-in. Now he throws it back. In towards the feet of Declan Rice. At the midway point of the attacking half. Here is Gabriel out towards the left-hand side. It is Martinelli. Shifted across towards Timber. Left edge of the penalty area. Short towards Declan Rice. Lateral towards Mikel Merino. Cross-shaped in into the arms of Nick Pope. He's not had a lot to do today, but has been studious and very disciplined by all stretches of the imagination. Nick Pope now to send the ball forward. Declan Rice with a intercepted ball. Going to play it across towards the right-hand side. Can't find an option though. So it will be Newcastle's throw to take with a minute left in this first half. Of course, we've got the massive 3 p.m. kickoffs. There are so many of them. There are 5. Liverpool, Brighton, Ipswich Town, Leicester City in a relegation scrap. Bournemouth, Man City, Southampton, Everton, also a relegation scrapped, and Newcastle versus, sorry, in fact, Nottingham Forest against West Ham. So a free kick for Arsenal on that right-hand side. Just past halfway. They take it quickly though, and they can't find an option. Here is Nuno Guimaraes at the midway point of the defensive half. He's been lashed to ground as well, and will be awarded the free kick. Be Newcastle United to take the free kick. The midway point of the defensive half. And then Nick Pope, I think, will make it ensure that it is going to be half time. Be half-time. A great goal from Alexander Isak, a well-timed cross from Anthony Gordon is where we are currently at the moment. It is going to be nil to Newcastle at the half-time break. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for the second half. And that's claimed by David Raya. It's a great little ball towards Anthony Gordon, and Joe Willock can't exactly follow suit with the shot, but Declan Rice at the base of midfield, looking to move the ball up the field. Oh, it's a poor giveaway, and Livramento will find Anthony Gordon out towards that right hand side again, in line with the right edge of the penalty area. He's got numbers in the middle, shifts away towards the right hand side, ball into the middle again, across towards Willock, but he can't find it or deliver it. Now Saka, and he strides away, but he's brought down by Anthony Gordon. Interesting to note that Sandro Tonali is not exactly back in the starting 11 for Newcastle at the moment. I expect someone of his quality would be in there immediately, but just going to see what exactly can happen for him. Just past halfway, Arsenal. It's time with Declan Rice just on halfway, looking towards William Saliba. Central right-hand side, Thomas Partey, now more central, in the centre circle for Gabriel, just past halfway again. Arsenal this time with Timber. A number of lung-busting runs in that little first half. Declan Rice. Timber. Here is Declan Rice at the midway point of the attacking half. Diagonal ball out towards Saka, in line with the right edge of the penalty area. Force track back a little bit. And find on the right central right hand side Thomas Partey. Here is Saka, right edge of the penalty area. Shifting away onto his left, twirling away past Joelinton. Saka again. Oh, he's been clipped by Lewis Hall, but it's no free kick given. But Newcastle looking to break away through Guimaraes. And now Declan Rice, about 35 yards out from goal, looking to whisk his way forward. Now Thomas Partey. 25 yards out from goal, Arsenal. It's with Timber, central left-hand side, left edge of the penalty area with Martinelli back in field for Timber. Looks to fire across away, and it's headed back by the Magpies once more. Now is William Saliba. Oh, been given it as offside, has it? You see the Newcastle look to take the free kick. It'll be Nick Pope to take the resulting free kick from the offside call. Sends it high and long. Right towards Saliba. And just past halfway is Lewis Hall. Here's Trossard. Midway point of the defensive half again. Here is Gabriel. Here's Declan Rice. Midway point of the defensive half again. Just on halfway is Declan Rice. Just playing across the back four at the moment. Here's Thomas Partey. In the centre circle now. Lofted out towards the left-hand side. A great little 20-yard pass. Diagonal, if you will. It's now Declan Rice, just past halfway Arsenal. In the middle of the pitch. Declan Rice. Twirling onto his right. Plays it back into the defensive half for the Gunners. Gabriel. Off the ball out towards the left-hand side again. Timber couldn't get the touch. It's back into feet for Timber. Oh, it's Trossard in the central region of the pitch. Can't play now towards the left flank where Martinelli was lying. And it's space for Martinelli again. Rolled across. It's towards Trossard. And His first touch was slightly too much away from him, and it will be a corner. So Newcastle United under the pump at the moment. Needing to find a potential delivery here. Back at a 5, they could find them some reprieve. Here's Declan Rice with a delivery. Arms up. It's fashioned towards the back post. There was Saliba. And now it is Guimaraes who's going to force to clear it down the line. And a great touch from Willock. Just inside Newcastle's defensive half. And Thomas Partey takes matters into his own hands and plays it back towards David Raya. Slightly upfield, and now it's out towards that right flank. And then Mikel Merino is going to header it just inside play on that right hand side. Now it's for Guimaraes. He's going to stride forward. Here is Isak. He's going to tweave his way past and does find space and chips it towards Anthony Gordon. Out towards the right hand side as Longstaff in the box, and his cross come shot is deflected by Declan Rice out for a corner. For Newcastle United. Here's the delivery now from Lewis Hall. Fashioned in towards the central region, and it's cleared away by Arsenal. Livramento and Saka will look to do battle. And I think Saka just stepping into in the way of Shong Longstaff, and it'll be a free kick to Newcastle. See what can happen here. Eddie Howe with some instructions to Sandro Tonali. Lewis Hall with a long ball forward. Player goes down in the box for Newcastle. No real shouts for a foul though. Now it's just inside the attacking half for Newcastle, but shifts it towards the edge of the area, and Arsenal are forced to clear upfield to the centre circle of Newcastle. A great touch from Livramento in the centre circle. Here is Nick Pope. He's just traversing on the edge of his penalty box and forces it out long towards Mikel Merino. Here is Thomas Partey. Oh, between the legs of Isak. That was very, very daring indeed from Thomas Partey at the midway point of his defensive half. And Newcastle pressing up high. And in fact, Gordon did get a touch to it. It will be thrown in play. Now at the midway point of the defensive half now, it is Declan Rice. Shifts it out towards the right-hand side. It's Trossard at the midway point of his attacking half. Weaves away brilliantly out towards the right edge of the area. Oh, and Anthony Gordon was there as well to meet him. I'm trying to say Lewis Hall, but again, Newcastle's defence has been absolutely rock solid at the moment. Nothing short of excellent, to be honest with you. I mean, a great performance, all things considered. Arsenal never really had a distinctly indicative shot on target at the moment. Now it's with Bukayo Saka at the midway point of Arsenal's defensive half on that right-hand side, plays it back towards Saliba, who's going to play it back towards Raya from that right-hand side, and Arsenal playing out of the back. Declan Rice. Here is Thomas Partey. Players peeling for it on that left-hand side, but Partey's going to just play it down that right-hand channel. And it's a giveaway from Kai Havertz again. Just past halfway on that left-hand side is Joel Linton. He's Bruno Guimaraes at the midway point of the defence. Shah. Guimaraes turns away and looks to swing the ball forward. Oh, it's a given away free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card to Mikel Merino. One of the better players for Arsenal today. Despite them being down 1-0 at the moment, he's been a relative shining light, all things considered. Share. Oh, it's a brilliant ball towards Gordon, but it's overhit. And the midway point of the defensive half, just past the penalty area, is William Saliba. Now it's with Trossard. Great ball out towards that left-hand side. And it's going to be Gabriel Martinelli, left-hand touchline. Faced with Gordon and Livramento. Defending in a zone here, and he's been beaten all ends up. He's been locked down as Martinelli today. Here's Isak coming short to receive. And the defensive half of Newcastle on that right-hand side. Played back towards Fabian Schär. He played into midfield, and it's Willock. Pass overhit, but he's going to win out brilliantly. So it's Joe Linton. He's going to look to find Willock in behind. He does so. Look at a break pass on the edge of the area. Willock, couple of step overs. Shot away, and it's over the bar. And Joe Willock, the former Arsenal man, is causing all the danger for the Magpies. Spent his entire youth career just about at Arsenal. He knows his club better than everyone, spending just about 15 years at the club. Nearly 20. And he knows this occasion. Centre circle out towards that central left-hand side. Joe Linton. Just past halfway. Here is Lewis Hall. Even after the takeover, he's still been a mainstay in this Newcastle team. And the free kick is given away. Just past halfway. Of course, had a torn Achilles tendon last season, which kept him out for quite some time. And also had problems with his hamstring as well, but back into form. Newcastle attacking half down that left-hand, central left-hand side with Guimaraes. Now Joel Linton is back on halfway for Dan Burn. Here is Fabian Schär. Ball out towards that right-hand side. Livramento in line with the right-hand side of the penalty area. Looked to turn away, and now it's with Julian Timber. And the throw-in is going to be given away to Newcastle. So it looks like Arsenal have said, hey, you want some reinforcements, we'll give you them. Ethan Nwaneri, I think, is going to make his way. I mean, what a moment for him. Talk about making your influence known. The 17-year-old is going to make his introduction. He's been in some goal-scoring form in the Carabao Cup. Has to be said. And a fantastic performance against Preston North End with a goal in midweek. Did start that game. I believe that is going to be Alexander Zinchenko as the ball is played from Newcastle up the field in towards the central channel. David Raya is going to bat that away out of play for Newcastle throw-in on that right-hand side in their defensive half. Change now confirmed. Mikel Merino on the yellow card. They're not going to risk him for the rest of the afternoon. And it's going to be Ethan Nwaneri who's going to come on for Gabriel Martinelli. Well, yeah, last time we saw Ethan Nwaneri was last week against Liverpool. Got 5 minutes in that 2-2 draw. This will be the most amount of minutes he's ever received in the English Premier League. So make yourself a hero, Ethan Nwaneri. Did score a double against the Bolton Wanderers, of course. Now the midway point of the defensive half this time. Lewis Hall. Willick. Just inside the defensive half on that left-hand touchline. And gives away the pass. It's Saliba. Midway point of the defensive half again. It's Thomas Partey. Back towards Saliba. Here is Nwaneri. Oh, he's chopped down immediately, and the yellow card is given. Awarded to the player who did decide to chop him down. That player in question, of course, being Joe Willock. Well, he was once a young Arsenal player, Joe Willock. Did break into this side when he was incredibly young indeed, at the ripe old age of 18. And Sandro Tonali is going to make his introduction as well. One ball forward. Oh, it's Havertz! Oh, nearly. It was, he's just been clattered into by Nick Pope. There was a little chip ball over the top, but Dan Burn was sort of beating all ends up, really. Now in the center circle. And towards that right-hand side. Midway point of the defensive half. This time it is Livramento, right hand touchline. It's into the centre circle. It's Guimaraes. Nwaneri with a tackle of his own as well, but advantage given, and Isak's going to break forward. Going to get the shot away. Alexander Isak. It's a great save from Raya from long range, but Arsenal looking to clear their lines down that left hand side, and again Timber and Joe Linton involved in the scrap. Central left-hand side, it is going to be Zinchenko. I think it's going to be Timber is moving into a more midfield role. Declan Rice down that central left-hand side, racing forward. The numbers up ahead of him. He's going to drive into the box. Declan Rice onto his right foot. Declan Rice! Just wide of the goal on that right-hand side. Arsenal are beginning to ask that question. We are here to play, they say. That's a great striding run from Declan Rice, beating past all the players and getting the shot away. But it wasn't quite to be. What a shot and what a run. And Isak, of course, can't forget him. His shot was, I think, aimed for the bottom left corner, but it was more central. And Joe Willock is going to make his way off the park. He's probably been the best player on the field today, you have to say. A shining light for Newcastle. The yellow card all too much to risk, though. And Sandro Tonali is going to make his introduction. Certainly not the worst player you can bring on at this time. So the corner here for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka with the delivery on his preferred left foot. Saka towards the back post. Pope punches away. Tonali, his first involvement is to clear the ball away. It's headed back in by Zinchenko. And Newcastle are going to break down this left-hand side. Past halfway, Anthony Gordon, although he's in no rush. He's going to turn back and play it towards Sandro Tonali. Going to whisk away brilliantly, and Timber is going to slide in, and a yellow card for him as well. And that is going to be not just the first, not just the second, not just the third, the fourth yellow card that's been given out today. A bit of how you doing from Julian Timber. So we'll see the free kick from Newcastle now. Delivered in. It's taken short, and it's going to be Tonali to shape up and deliver it in towards the central region. Now fashion it again, and it's Rayo who's going to hold it firm. Midway point of the defensive half now. Thomas Partey. In the central region of the pitch, here is William Saliba. Zinchenko. Central left-hand side now. Back towards Zinchenko. Zinchenko, central left-hand side. Oh, that's a beautiful piece of skill. Now it's with Declan Rice down that central left-hand side. Left-hand touchline, should I say. Looking to fashion the crossed in. Tino Livramento who got the final touch. Be out for a corner. So we'll see the corner come in now. So we'll see the corner arrive for Arsenal. They need this one to count. They want to claw their way back into this contest. It's going to be Declan Rice again. Again fashioned to the back post. Although it's Trossard this time with a shot. It's deflected off the line. And that was another great opportunity for the Gunners to potentially generate a distinct opportunity on goal, but they couldn't exactly fashion it from that perspective. Down that left-hand side it is Isak, but he can't exactly find Joe Linton, the midway point of the defensive half, but Arsenal will regain possession. Timber, central right-hand side of the pitch now is Saliba, just past halfway. Arsenal, this time it is Thomas Partey. Driving up out towards Saka, he's got space to exploit. In line with the right edge of the area is Timber. He switched from left back to right back. Versatility. Timber. Now out towards central left-hand side of Zinchenko. He's given away, and Newcastle are going to swing forward through Longstaff. Out towards Gordon, who has the pace. Can he beat past Zinchenko? Right edge of the area. The overlapping run, and it's out towards the byline. The cross was going to come in. Gabriel's foot was in the way, though. Newcastle will earn themselves a corner. So here the corner will arrive for Arsenal, for Newcastle, should I say. And towards the right-hand side, fashioned in again, and it's going to bomb up very kindly, but it's lashed away by Arsenal again. Out towards the left-hand side for Newcastle to earn themselves a throw-in. A double change for Arsenal to come. Ben White, Gabriel Jesus. Raheem Sterling is not going to get minutes at the moment, which is intriguing. To say the very least, you know he can do a lot. Midway point of the defensive half is Kai Havertz. Has been lashed to ground again. Will be awarded the free kick. See what can happen now. So Ben White is going to make his introduction imminently. Gabriel Jesus as well. Coming with those players in just a few moments as long ball's played out towards that right hand side. No one to meet it though. And it's forced long again by Nick Pope into the feet of Ben White now in Arsenal's defence. The right edge of the penalty area again is now. So William Saliba is going to bring the ball forward. Midway point of the defensive half now. Thomas Partey. Just past halfway. It's with Declan Rice out towards that left hand side. Left hand touchline is Gabriel Jesus looking to drive in field but can't exactly find the purchase required. And Newcastle looking to play it out, and eventually they do. Nick Pope just lashing it out towards that left-hand side. Trossard and Timber coming off for Ben White and Gabriel Jesus. He's on the ball now, and it's going to be into the arms of Nick Pope again. Held by Nick Pope. Starting lineups just coming in now from all the other games that are occurring at 3 p.m. kickoff. On the left-hand side is Ben White, can keep it in at the midway point of the defensive half. And Saka's in a bit of pain here as well, it seems, but play will keep on going. Lewis Hall. And Partey again. Central right-hand side. Saka still limping around. He did get up though. He's just limping about, is he? Bukayo Saka. And I think he holds his ankle. He's not happy. But he's just he's sprinting. He's just limping away. Back on the ball now is Bukayo Saka. Central right hand side. Back with Ben White. Central right-hand side, midway point of the attacking half for Arsenal. Bit of a knock maybe, but Saka looks to be okay. Centre circle now. Newcastle just defending for their lives at this point. Zinchenko. Left-hand touchline again. There's Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel. Now Zinchenko. Midway point on the attacking half. It's Saliba. Out towards Saka. In line with the right edge of the area. It's Ethan Nwaneri. To receive the 1-2 touch. Saka. Now one-touch football. Ben White. Oh, he just can't find the overlapping run of the young Nwaneri. And it will be a goal kick. Nick Pope just going to take some time to relax as well. Pope just going to take his time on the floor to just receive some treatment. Keep in mind, Newcastle have only made the one change, being Sandro Tonali. Plenty of other players can come on in retrospect, but let's see what the exact decision to be made will be. Looks to be okay, no big poke. Take the resulting goal kick. Arsenal maybe without Odegaard have been a bit worse for wear, perhaps. They just haven't had their creative output as Newcastle look to clear it up the field, but no one up ahead for them. David Raya, one of the defensive half is Zinchenko, out towards that left-hand side, past halfway. It's Gabriel Jesus, now back with Zinchenko. Arsenal with more of a spring in their step as a long ball attempted forward towards Havertz, who receives down that left-hand side. Got numbers in the middle, the high looping cross towards Waneri. Now Joe Linton, battered away. At the midway point of the attacking half for Arsenal, Saliba. And it's Gabriel looking to stride forward. Now towards that left-hand side. Central left-hand side is Gabriel. Now Zinchenko. Central right-hand side is Ben White. Here is Bukayo Saka. Infield is Ben White. Laterally towards Thomas Partey. And now it's Gabriel. In line with the left edge of the penalty area. It's Gabriel Jesus. And it's batted away again. Now towards the central left-hand side. Gabriel cross towards the back post. No one there to meet it again. And it's going to be Saka to reclaim. Here is Ben White. Now it's with Ben White again. Shifted out towards that right-hand side, the back heel. This is great play. And it was unfortunate for Ethan Waneri as he couldn't exactly find the purchase to deliver the ball. And it's overhit ball from Isak in the midway point of the defensive half for Newcastle. So Arsenal will retain. Now in the centre circle is Thomas Partey out towards the right-hand side. Here is Bukayo Saka. Again, Waneri not exactly on cue with Saka here. As again they give it away. And a little piece of skill from Brent Guimaraes back towards Lewis Hall. Midway point of the attacking half now. And it was Thomas Partey who overhit the ball towards Waneri. Arsenal just need that one opportunity to get themselves back in. Comes out towards that left-hand side of the attack for Newcastle, and Isak just trying to force his way past Saliba, who definitely had the football. So it will be a free kick. Midway point of the defensive half this time, Partey. Now towards Zinchenko. In the centre circle. One ball out towards Bukayo Saka. And it's headed out of play for a throw-in. Towards that right-hand side, just in Arsenal's attacking half, and Saka has been brought to ground again at the midway point of the attacking half, and it's going to be Bruno Guimaraes who's been a free kick. He's not happy with it at all. And so the free kick now for Arsenal on that left-hand touch, on the right-hand touchline, looking to fashion a delivery in. This is a crucial and focal opportunity for them in their pursuit for a much-needed and important point away from home, if not more. If not more. That is the question. The key point is if not more. See Declan Rice now. Arms up in the air. Rice with the delivery, and he can't get it away. Central right-hand side of the pitch now. It is with Alexander Zinchenko in the centre circle. Now Waneri, he's been battered away nearly. He's kept in play. Now Isak. Newcastle have numbers forward. Anthony Gordon up ahead, and it's going to be played back towards David Raya in goals. Now central left-hand side. Here is Alexander Zinchenko at the midway point of the defensive half. Arsenal need to get numbers forward. Ethan Waneri just on halfway. In the centre circle now. It is Thomas Partey. Now Zinchenko. Now towards the left-hand touchline. Gabriel Jesus shifting onto his right. Short towards Zinchenko. Midway point of the attacking half again. Lateral pass towards Ben White, central right-hand side. Further right is Bukayo Saka. Right-hand touchline, forced back towards Ben White. An incisive ball. It's Waneri approaching the D. It's back of a step now. Gabriel, 30 yards out from goal, out towards the left edge of the area. This time, Gabriel Jesus driving towards the byline. Can he get the cross away? He can't. Great work from Newcastle defensively, and they have to bat it away. And it's going to be William Saliba just past halfway. Midway point of the attacking half, it is Thomas Partey. He's got numbers up ahead of him. And just look to find pierce options. So they're trying to pierce the gaps. Waneri lifting onto his left. Approaching the D. It's now Declan Rice, central left-hand side of the pitch. Left edge of the penalty area. Robbed towards the back post. It's Saka with the attempted header. Newcastle header back. It's Ben White towards the byline. He'll look to deliver a cross of his own. It's in towards the feet of Saka. Sorry, Gabriel Jesus, should I say. Zinchenko looking to get the cross away again. It's just, they're just battering on the door. They're just really struggling to find the combinations that they needed. And they give away the free kick cruelly. And there's Thomas Partey in the middle of the Newcastle defence, the midway point of the Newcastle defence. And Guimaraes is putting his hand to his head. And this is, one of the very poor performances we've seen from Arsenal, I'd have to say. Fans certainly dissatisfied on social media, as you can see, and I definitely think that this is reflective in their campaign this season. They just haven't had the big moments in big games required to get themselves victory. This will mean potentially will be winless in 3 if this result continues in the Premier League, of course. Last win coming off against Southampton on the 6th of October. It's been quite a while since then, and perhaps more cause for concern, but you just feel like there's something else in this game. White, long ball down the line out towards that right hand side. It's been called back though. Ben White's going to throw it in towards William Saliba at the midway point of the defensive half now for Arsenal. Zinchenko out towards that left hand side. Midway point of the attacking half. It's Gabriel Jesus on that left hand touchline. Infield is Zinchenko taking up a more central position. Ben White out towards that right edge of the penalty area. It is Bukayo Saka driving towards the byline, fashioning the cross into the middle. This is the chance potentially. It's Jesus has been brought down. And there were several players that had an opportunity to score there, but for Arsenal they can't find the needed ball. It was a great delivery into the box, but they couldn't find the fashion. Goodness gracious me. It was chested down from Jesus. He looked to turn away. Gordon was intercepted there. I don't think that's remotely going to be given as a penalty, and there's no exact distinct call for that, but Anthony Gordon's had a great performance today as well, doing his work on the defensive end and on the offensive end. And also the change, Harvey Barnes has been introduced. Anthony Gordon's going to make way. What a game he's had. What a game he has had. And it's now out towards the central right-hand side. A free kick given away. Couldn't exactly see it though. And so Newcastle will take the free kick in the midway point in the defensive half on that right-hand touchline. So a round of applause for Anthony Gordon as he looks to make his way past and back towards the bench. 5 minutes of regulation time left. But this will be a performance that's going to be well remembered, as we do see Jorginho make his way onto the park for Thomas Partey. The attack for Newcastle in the attacking half. 10 yards out from the edge of the area. Isak with a beautiful piece of skill down that right-hand side. He manages to keep it in, but Arsenal will win the ball back in the box now. Gabriel. And Newcastle still enforcing the press. And again, Livramento with a good piece of skill. Out towards Barnes. Past the byline, the cross towards Joel Linton. And it's headed right into the arms of David Raya. Arsenal are in a rush. They need to just have extra energy and numbers forward. And Jorginho will be the man to potentially enact this. Just inside the defensive half. Long searching ball forward. The intended target is Kai Havertz, but it's slightly away from his body. And it's into the arms of Nick Pope. Now towards that right-hand side of the box. Fabian Schär, right-hand touchline, just past halfway. And again, Newcastle win it back just on halfway. Taking the throw-in will be one Tino Livramento, and has been kept in by Arsenal. Is going to break forward now with Kai Havertz, and he gives it away. He gives it away. That is a poor dribble from Kai Havertz as Newcastle win it back in that defensive half. Now it's Guimaraes driving down that central left-hand side. It's with Joel Linton, and the free kick given away. Again, Ethan Nwaneri, the player in question who exerts too much force and is given a yellow card. That is the, I think by my count, that is the 5th yellow card given out this afternoon. Quite a lot, you'd have to say. And so the free kick to be given to Newcastle inside their defensive half. 10 yards inside the defensive half on that left-hand side. Lewis Hall to deliver the ball. High up towards Joel Linton. Now back to goal is Havertz. Lewis Hall. Chest it down. It looks to laid up high is Joel Linton again. Looking down the line for Isak, but out of play. Throw in for Arsenal at the midway point of the defensive half. It is Ben White. He defeats Saliba. Midway point of the defensive half. It is Gabriel. In the centre circle is Ben White. Just on halfway. Back into the circle. Now it is Gabriel. Pass overhit again. They just can't find the combinations at the moment. 90th minute now. If Arsenal manage to keep this result the same, it'll be 1 point in 9 games for them. So 1 point out of 9 in the last 3 matches, should I say. Saliba. Crossfield ball out towards Saka. Right over to the penalty area. Just about in short for Ben White, who's going to break inside, but he can't get the touch required again. Arsenal having so much joy in the final third, but they can't find the final pass, 1 or 2. In the centre circle again is William Saliba. Central left-hand side, it is Gabriel. Declan Rice. Short towards Gabriel Jesus. Left-hand touchline, back towards Gabriel. Central left-hand side of the pitch. 5 minutes of added time. Gabriel again. Left-hand touchline. 5 minutes for them to find their way. Timber. Midway point of the attacking half for Arsenal. Now it's with Havertz. Stutter step. Back towards Saliba. And it's Nwaneri breaking across the D, but he's just going to fire it over the bar. Towards that left-hand side. And that is definitely a shot that has been taken. Not a successful one, however, to say the very least. So we'll be hope to clear the ball forward past halfway. Back to goal. Here is Newcastle in their defensive half, looking to get the ball forward again. And the free kick given to, I think, one Sandro Tonali, who was brought down at the midway point of the defensive half. We'll see as to what they can fashion here. Arsenal now in their goalkeeper box. It's with Jorginho, central left-hand side, towards William Saliba at the midway point of the defensive half. Out towards that right-hand touchline. Saka. Twirling onto his left. To Ben White. Waneri looking to... Wow, that's a beautiful spin. But can he find the purchase to find a player? Midway point of the attacking half, it's Gabriel. Now Gabriel Jesus. Central left-hand side, it's Gabriel again. Waneri short. Central right-hand side is Ben White. More central again for Saliba. Out towards the right edge of the area, it's Saka. Turning onto his left, the ball delivered towards the back post, and it's just wide of the goal. That was the chance, that was the effort. It wasn't found, however. Declan Rice, what a chance for Arsenal. The header just wide of the goal. That was the chance, that was the opportunity, and Arsenal will live to rue that one. Oh, what a brilliant opportunity. What a fantastic opportunity. And what an opportunity to forego as well. Truly unfortunate. More pain indeed for those involved. And it's just a symptom of the way that things will pan out. It looks like as the clock is ticking down, Nick Pope has been given a yellow card for time wasting. We'll see one final change from Newcastle. It's Lloyd Kelly who's going to come on. There's a big white round of applause for Bruno Guimaraes, who's going to make his way off the park. So Lloyd Kelly with a minute to play. Clear out of play. Midway point of the defensive half for Arsenal. This is the final chance. Midway point of the attacking half, and now it is Gabriel. Ben White. Midway point of the attacking half again. It is Bukayo Saka. Towards the right-hand touchline. Infield for Ben White. Fashions it towards the back post. Nick Pope's forced to punch it, but he's off his line slightly. And it's Harvey Barnes who's going to lash it clear. Is there going to be more time according to John Brooks? David Raya is just about on halfway. Central left-hand side. It is Zinchenko. Long searching ball forward. Out towards that right-hand side. Saka's in space on the right edge of the penalty area. Going to cut onto his left. Going to fashion it towards the back post. And Nick Pope can claim Newcastle just on the edge of securing victory. He's going to claim, he's going to hold it for as long as he possibly can. And we're just going to wait and see. Nick Pope just biding his time. And that is not it just yet. One last roll of the dice. Seems like, yes, it will be.